afternoon, Tottenham fans worldwide, and welcome back to the Irish Hotspur for the pre-match build-up ahead of our last pre-season game of pre-season against Bayern Munich today at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 5:30 kickoff, and hopefully we look a lot better this time around than what we did last week against them. But as you can see, a rare sight today, a 5-person panel. Said we'll try it, see how it gets on. And as you can see, we are joined by some wonderful people. But before that, we've plenty to talk about today. We've got a new signing in, Dominic Solanke. So we'll obviously be having a conversation about him and a lot more topics as well. Jacko, how are you keeping this morning? Nice and early over there in Seattle for you, my man?
Yeah, it feels like I can finally make a pre-match build-up, Dave. First one of the season. Hopefully, I still get to do plenty more. I've missed a lot of them. And Kate, as well as Soren, Dermatron, Michael, so many people have filled in very, very well. And I'm glad that I actually have much better coffee this year for the pre-match build-ups. I'm excited, Dave.
No, absolutely love it. Only the best coffee for Jacko. Dermo, how are you keeping, my man? Returning, of course, been here for, I think, everyone so far this pre-season. Fair play to you, my man. How are you keeping?
Yeah, I'm keeping fine. I wasn't here last week. I was in hospital, but got my new chair. I'm now back, got my operation booked for 7 weeks' time. So I'm happy and come on your Spurs news signing. I'm actually quite happy about it after sleeping on it. And come on the Dom. He will score the goals for us. I've been watching them last night, some of his goals for Bournemouth. And he can do a bit of everything. So maybe he's an upgrade on Roger Allison. Who knows? But he's a Spurs player now. Let's back him.
Well, look, we'll get on to Dominic Solanke in just one moment, Dermatron. So hold fire on that one, sir. And then down to the guy that helps feed the whole nation, down to Soren. How you keeping, my man?
All right, thank you. I'm all right, yeah. Just got to say, big Dom, big bad Dom. Dom's in the house.
As you can see, Soren is exciting. It's absolutely great to have you back, sir. I think many people around the community do enjoy your contributions, so thank you very much. And last but not least, down to the wonderful Kate from Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs. Kate, how are you keeping this afternoon?
Brilliant, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I've just got to say, it don't matter what mood I'm in, your intro makes me buzzing for Spurs. Every time I see it, I'm dancing away. The pictures, it's just the best intro on YouTube, in my opinion. So, yeah, I had to get that in.
No, look, I really appreciate that, and I think we're going to upgrade on some of the pictures as well and get even more people pumped up with it. So I really appreciate that, and as always, great to have you, Kate. Really do enjoy your lunchtime show with Jim. Actually gets me through some of the stuff I'm doing on the computer, so keep them up. Let's welcome in a few people and let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's start talking about Dominic Solanke. Big up Alexander Valeris says, let's go Tottenham. I want to see Bergvall starting ahead of Madison and a lot of progressive passes. We can't be scared of Bayern. It would be vital and awesome for Son to score an early goal. Absolutely spot on there, my man. Son was very quiet against Bayern last time out. That French fullback had him in his pocket. Hopefully we can see a much better Sonny today. Spurs diehards, Tottenham till I die. Big up. Good afternoon. I believe Adrian Schroka. Good afternoon, David Jack, and all exciting times to be a Spurs fan. Looking forward to the game and getting an insight into Ange's lineup and bench with the 9 days away. Look, let's wait and see. You know, there's still plenty of arguments saying we haven't done enough, but look, let's wait and see what the season holds. You know, it's only 1 week away, and we'll know then, kicking off against Leicester next Monday night. As always, great to see Terry Betts in the house. Says, could Solanke play the last 5 minutes? I'm not sure whether he'll play today at all, to be brutally honest with you. But it'll be interesting to see whether to bring him out into the stadium, onto the pitch, and sort of unveil him. That'll be very interesting. Faz Radfar 3-1 Spurs. Big up, lads. Hope you're well. My favourite channel. I hope my 100% record at Tottenham remains intact, as I will be there. Come on, you Spurs. And you know, I'm so jealous. I've seen so many people on Twitter today putting up pictures of them arriving down at Tottenham and stuff like that. Glorious weather. Oh, it makes me jealous, my man. It makes me jealous. Hopefully you enjoy yourself, Fazzy. We've also got Tequila 316. Big up to the panel, Super Dave, and the living legend, Dermatron 2000, which I hear is an upgraded model from the 2000 version, or 3000, sorry. The 3000 comes with windscreen wipers, I hear. Big up, Tequila. We've also got Shen Tam in the house. Says, afternoon, Hack and Dave. I presume he meant Jack. That's a typo. Says, you're both well. We need to see progress today, seeing as this is our last game before the season starts. And seriously needs to sort out the tactics and stop being so stubborn. Well, I do have a question about that in today's pre-match build-up on that one, Shentam. No doubt it's going to get wild with the comments and the answers and stuff like that. Joseph Derbyshire says, I'm excited for Solanke and I hope he actually has a great time in the Lily White kit and performs in every competition. Look, we will get into Solanke. I do have some concerns around the deal. However, I do urge anybody that maybe does have concerns like me, don't take them out on Solanke. Give the guy the opportunity and instead air them frustrations where they need to go, which is towards the board. Hopefully, many people can do that. Big up Rooty too as well. At least he did well for France. He might be our undoing rather than Kane today. Lol. I really like Elise. He's one we should have went after from Palace to solve that right-wing problem. King Huddlers thing stands right now. Solanke and Gray is better than City, Savio, Arsenal, Calafiori, Liverpool, nobody, Chelsea, Tosin and Neto, United, Xerxes and Euro, Newcastle, Kelly. And we have got more Deadwood out. Controversial King Huddle, no doubt. People have their say on that in the comments, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. Good to see you. Every Joker Davies can't help but smile. The intro video for Solanke. Big up, Dave, and the panel. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Eddie. Good to see you in the house. Must be a really late one for you, Eddie. Big yourself up. Good to see Timmy in here. Spurs GCTV as well. Afternoon, gents. Let's go. Come on, you Spurs. Along with Martin. Nice bridge afternoon, boys. Let's get a convincing win today to have something positive to take into the Leicester game. Absolutely spot on. It'd be absolutely nice to get that big win today. We've got Foggy Foam, Dom, D-Dom, Solanke. Good to see you, Foggy Foam. Or I prefer, what is the other one they sing? 65 million down the drain. Dom Solanke scores again. I hope I'm singing that. I hope I'm proven wrong, to be brutally honest. Big up Neil G. Good to see you in the house, along with J Mac as always. Ribsy in the house from down under. Another early one for you as well. We also have Kerry King in the house. Finally have the striker. Exciting times ahead. We've got Lee Mondry says would be nice to see Kane and his boot boy back today. I don't understand why Dyer's getting an award, to be brutally honest. He should be made sat there and watch Kane pick up an award. That's how a professional footballer is. But hey, we do like to reward mediocrity at times. Cassian says, I'd wish to see Solanke today, but Ange usually doesn't do that. No, I don't think we're going to see him today, to be brutally honest with you whatsoever. Big up Andrew Bailey. Come on, you flat cap army. Good to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well. Sav is in the house as well. He's gone Bayern 8-0 against Spurs today. Fair enough. Hopefully that's not the case. We've also got Freddie SP, official Solanke 2 Spurs. Good to see you, Freddie. Colin as well. Great to see you, along with Dragon D's Nuts, one of the greatest names in the business. We've also got Jazzy Fusion, first practice clap of the season. Just getting ready for the real watch along week Monday when in Rome. Look, when in Rome, my man, what I would say is enjoy the happy clapping over preseason, because it could very go quickly into the season with how Spurs usually capitulate. So enjoy it now is what I would say. We've got Sava in the house. Big up, Sava. Really appreciate support. He says enjoy the game. Big up to Kate Soren. He calls you Siren. Maybe that could be his nickname if he makes enough noise. We've got Dermotron and of course the Flat Crap crew. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Sava. Really appreciate the support, my man, and hopefully you're keeping well. I know you may be fearing going into today's game, lad. But look, if Spurs come out and win, enjoy it. Big smile on your face and have a good day, my man. Big up, Sava. We've got Chris Loney in the house as well. Good evening all. So last year's 5th best Premier League striker and the only one to move has joined us. Good news for us. That's one way of looking at it, I suppose. Chris Loney, good to see you, along with Peter M as well. Big up Dave, Jack, Dermo, Kay, and Soren, and everyone in the chat. Great to see you guys, along with Liston Hines as well. As always, great to see you. And we've got Stevie D in the house. Open your game, lads. Inviting the bombshell into the room. Let's get back to the Spurs way. Win, lose, or draws. Well, look, we've also got one in a team called Bergval as well. So you've got to be, sort of in keeping, I would say, Steve D. But Kate, he's delighted to have you on.
Do you know what? Steve always calls me that, and I'll take it because it's actually more grey than blonde, but I'll take it. And comparing me to Bergval, he's actually younger than my son. But I'll take it as well, Dave. Keep the compliments coming.
I was going to say I'm not a natural blonde. I didn't realise he was talking about you, Kate. Sorry.
Big up, Steve D. Absolutely love the humour, my man. Great to see you in the building. Big up, Lazy 8 as well. George Carados as well. And also Rohin as well. As always, great to see you. We've also got this from Dark Sung G. Come on, you Spurs. Happy to see Solanke hold our beautiful shirt. Big up, Dark Sun G. Good to see you in the building as always. How did you get on, by the way, at the Spurs and Korean All-Stars game? I know you said you were going, so let me know how your experience was. Did you enjoy the day? And also, did you bump into the weird Tottenham TV boys over there? They're like celebrities over there, so please let me know in the comments how you got in or how you got on, my man. Big yourself up. And he also says, I really like the tall, physical strikers in Richie and Dom. Look, let's not delay any further then. Let's get straight into the topic of Dominic Solanke. Of course, Tottenham have signed Dominic Solanke for 55 million plus 10 million in add-ons, which brings it to 65. He signed a 6-year contract, which I think he's 27 next month, which will bring him to 33 years of age until June 2030. Let's go around the houses. I think there's a lot of mixed reaction all across Spurs socials to this signing. Some find it very underwhelming. Some think it's an absolute strategic, smart decision by Tottenham Hotspur, and it's going to pay dividends. Do you know what? We'll start with Kate and Soren, and we'll work our way backwards. Kate, we'll start with you. What's your thoughts on the signing of Dominic Solanke? Actually, sorry, before we get into it, community message. Guys, I know everyone has differences of opinions and stuff like that, but over here, we're trying to create respect for the community where everyone can have difference of opinions but not get personal. So I just ask, please let's not get it heated. Please respect everyone's opinions and stuff like that. Disagree all you want, but there's a way to do it. Let's set the precedent. Sorry, Kate, down to you.
I mean, anyone that saw me on the day that we were linked, I think it was Monday, I was on the terrace and I was very underwhelmed. However, it's one of those things where, you know, the meltdown's been monumental, as is most things in the world of Tottenham Hotspur. It's one of those things we can't change. Are there other strikers I might have preferred? Possibly, but I'm just happy we've got someone in. I've been watching so many videos on him. I watched a fantastic video today on 442. If anyone hasn't seen it, it's actually called The Reason Why Dominic Solanke is the Best Signing Tottenham have made in years. And it's such a fantastic analysis of how he can fit into our team. He's tall. He's an upgrade on Richie, not maybe as much as I would have liked, but I've got faith in the manager to get the best out of this guy. It's who he obviously wants. You know, it's no point saying trust him, Ange, if the minute he signs someone, we pull him to pieces. So I'm rolling with it. I'm excited to see what he does. And yeah, hopefully he proves all the doubters wrong.
Do you think he's an upgrade on Richarlison, Kate?
I don't think there's a lot in it. I think he's better at holding up the ball. I think he's definitely more clinical in front of goal. What concerns me is he's fantastic, much like Richarlison, fantastic with his head, and we haven't got the wingers to put the ball onto his head. That is more of a concern. That's not sort of a negative on Dominic Solanke. It's just, have we got the players to get the best out of this guy? I would like to see at least one winger come in. Whether it'll happen, I don't know. Yeah. But I think he's a slight upgrade, Dave.
Well, look, one thing I will say is if you look at his track record, he's available for nearly every game of the season. So it's definitely an upgrade. Exactly. You know, that's definitely an upgrade in that department for sure. I mean, Soren, where do you stand on it? Because there's been a lot of mixed reactions. Someone like me, I just think it's a massive step up from delivering that like somewhere like Bournemouth and stepping into a club like Tottenham where the pressures and demands are a lot different. And I have my concerns whether he can handle that. When you look at Richarlison, he's came from a similar fee, from a similar sized club, and he hasn't made that step up. He hasn't been able to live up to the demands and pressure. What's your thoughts on Solanke? Do you think he can? Do you think he's ready to take that next step?
Look, I look at it this way. There's two great things about signing Solanke. One is we've got a striker, and then the other one is the meltdown from all the Levy haters and people who didn't want him because he's not Mbappe or somebody like that. You know, one of these unrealistic signings that we were supposed to be going to get. If he is Ange's first choice, then the question I would like to ask is, why the hell has it taken so long to get him in? Yeah. He wasn't at the Euros. He wasn't, you know, there is no reason he should not have been signed earlier. But he's in. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit like what Kate just said. It wouldn't have been my first choice, but he's here. He's playing for my team, and I'm 100% behind him now. And you know, what more can we ask for? We've got the striker in that the manager wants, and all these people that say we don't back the manager, I'll now just come in and say, well, he's the wrong player. So, you know, they know best. But look, we've got him. Is our number, well, whatever number is going to be.
19.
Well, yeah, I mean, who knows? Let's just get behind him now and hope that he's the first of a few more, because it won't be a good enough window if he is the only person we sign now, other than obviously Gray, I know. But, you know, we've got to get somebody else in to put those balls into him now. We need an upgrade on Johnson. And we need somebody else, probably a playmaker as well, because if Maddison's not going to get back to the form we saw him last year, then what's the point in having a striker that can score, because nobody will be passing to him?
Do you think having someone like Solanke will actually unlock the door for Maddison to become a lot more effective in this team?
Well, I hope so, because I mean, I think Kate's just said it, or somebody did, that the difference between Solanke and Richarlison, by the look of it, is the first touch. The first touch on Solanke does look a lot better. He can hold the ball, he can run with the ball better than Richarlison can. So hopefully, if Maddison can see those runs and he's clever enough to do those runs, then it should be a lot better for us. The thing we've got to do is, where Ange wants his players running down the byline and putting them crosses in, you know, hopefully we get somebody who's going to do that, because it's no good having a player that can get in the box and can score if he's not got no service.
Yeah.
But
no, 100%.
You know,
I think that's many people's concerns. You know, look, what I will say is I think moving Son back out to the left, he's definitely going to get service from there. It's just that right-hand side I worry. Pedro Porro can do it, but because he's asked to play a lot more sort of inverted, is Brennan Johnson capable of delivering them crosses? From what I've seen in preseason, I'm not quite so sure. Look, he might prove me wrong. Having a target man in there might actually bring the best out of Johnson. Who knows? But, you know, I do worry about the service on the right.
I think Johnson can put a cross in. He just doesn't do it consistently enough. You know, I mean, he has put some good crosses in, and half the time there's nobody there anyway, but he does put some crosses in. It's just not consistent enough. That's the problem.
No, look, I completely agree with that. That's one of my huge frustrations when it comes round to when it comes down to Brennan Johnson is the end product. It's just nowhere near consistent enough. But Dermo, let's answer Dark Song G. He says he really likes the tall physical strikers that we have at Tottenham. We've been crying out to have two strikers for quite some time. We're now finally in that position, you know, and also Ange Postecoglou has alluded to that he wants to build a squad to be able to win trophies. Are these two guys good enough to fire us to where Ange wants to go, but also the message of the players coming out this preseason?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they are. I mean, we have to trust in Ange. If Ange wants Solanke, if Ange thinks him and Richie can work together, we have to get behind it. There's no point. Can I just say Jack's little bit on Solanke was brilliant. Really enjoyed watching that, by the way. Me and Tequila both watched it together, as well as the 4-4-2, Kate. That was good. But me and Tequila will work, and we had Jack's on. We really enjoyed your work, Jack. So big up for that, and 4-4-2 as well. Really great stuff in it. And can I just say, we got to get behind Ange. There's no point in buying a player and then slagging the player off and saying it was this, it was that. We have to get behind the manager and the team. We're Tottenham Hotspur, for Christ's sake. We are the mighty Tottenham Hotspur. If he's good enough to put on that famous shirt, then we're good enough to get behind him and push him all the way. I think him and Richie will work well off each other. I think Richie's been missing a partner up front, to be fair. And I think this could be the coming of Richie. And I'm glad Richie's staying, because I like Richie. I love his enthusiasm. I love the way he is around the squad. I love the way he is around with the fans. I mean, you see him in the North London derby picking up the flair. I think, was that Emerson behind you? But it's got that same enthusiasm as Emerson, if you know what I mean. And I think Solanke's going to be a good signing for us. I think I was like Kate. I was very underwhelmed yesterday when I started my show about him. But the more you look at him, the videos, the way he can hold up the ball, the way all the different goals he can score. Nobody's going to come in and replace Harry Kane. Harry Kane is a generational striker. It's like Martin Shivers coming in to replace Jimmy Greaves. Jimmy Greaves was a generational striker. We had that back in the 60s. Harry Kane was our Jimmy Greaves. And I just think anyone that comes after a generational striker is going to struggle. You're always going to compare him to that. There's no point comparing them. So every player is different. Solanke can hold up the ball. He can score different types of goals. He's very good with his feet. He's quick. He works hard. And everyone that's saying about Ivan Toney, Ange doesn't like players with baggages. That's going to disrupt the dressing room. Maybe Toney was going to bring that little bit of the sight and disrupt the dressing room, disrupt the harmony. Solanke doesn't do that. So I think as much as everyone has the criticism and the right to have the criticism, Let's get behind the team now. It's the start of the season. We'll all support the same team. Forget about the noise. We're the mighty Spurs. We will win. We will rise. We're going to do it this season. And with Solanke and Richie up front, I think we've got a great combination. I agree with Steve D. With King Hoddle. I think we're actually growing a great little team here. And we should be really excited instead of negative.
Yeah, look, I think when I look at it, I think we're only a few players away from really kicking on. I think that's where most people's maybe anxiety around this window comes. Have Tottenham done enough? And I suppose it's just about, having the trust, but they have to earn that now. They've had years of neglect. So it's up to them to earn that now. And hopefully it's the case over the course of this season. Let's wait and see what happens. But Jack, Dark Sun G says, he says, I love Solanke. Welcome video. He has a comic anime vibe to it. So a lot of people did tell me in the Twitter reacts what that mask is to do with. So thank you very much for that. But Jack, just in general, I mean, Dominic Solanke, is he the right striker for Tottenham? I guess that's where everyone's concerns is right now.
I think he is on a lot of levels. And I said that in my scout report, but even to what Dark Sun G said in those last two super chats with the comic and the anime vibe, I'm really disappointed that I didn't take anime more seriously because my friends in college had gone through a big anime phase at one point and I really was not into it. And now I realize I probably should have because it was going to be a good reason for preparing for the Solanke signing. And then when it comes to the big, tall, physical strikers, Dave, like Dark Sun G said earlier, I am as well, like a big fan of that type of forward. It's kind of the one that I prefer. I like a guy that can play with his back to goal. I like a guy that can, not really shy away from the physicality of a big, physical defender behind him. And kind of when even though I'm a much younger Spurs fan, a much younger football fan, I always did prefer kind of the Mandzukic or the Diego Militos or, even now I'm in my big dunk, era where I'm watching back big dunk highlights, all the time, from Everton. And I just do like a guy that can rise up in the air, win a header simply, and hold up the ball in areas that you wouldn't expect him to. And it's just something that I think Spurs have been needing. Richarlison provided that, but Richarlison wasn't fit enough for us to provide that on a consistent basis. And now we have someone very similar in a Dominic Solanke. So I'm really excited about that signing on a number of levels. And even to the point of him being a physical, tall striker, he actually is, pretty comparable to some of the other, I would say, kind of relegation, sort of like get it launched type of style of strikers. I think the only guys that won more headers than him last season were like Carlton Morris and like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think were like the only two guys that won more headers than him just last year. And that just shows that this guy is talented in the air and can win those headers for us when Brennan Johnson or Pedro Porro or whoever it may be, whips those crosses into the box. He will be there for those. And he thrived on that service last season. And I'm really excited for the signing on a number of levels. I also like the fact that for a big, tall, physical striker, a lot of them, I think in the past, they're not very good at pressing. They kind of do walk around a bit. Dominic Solanke isn't one of those. He's a guy who does like to press a lot, and he does kind of work his tail off for his manager, whether it was for Gary O'Neill, whether it's for Iraola, and now hopefully it's going to be for Postecoglou. But there's so many things about him that I actually do think suits this system and kind of suits Ange Ball. He's not really, let's say, the sexiest of signings, like an Osimhen or whatever we were kind of connected with, like a Gyökeres or even an Ivan Toney. But I think he does make sense on a number of levels that, of course, I put in my scout report. But I just really have been having a bit of a soft spot for this guy over the last year or so, Dark Sun G. I was annoying Dave about it with fantasy.
Yeah, really
even the first 5 or 10 games of the season, he was on fire. And I was just like, wow, Dominic Solanke kind of just looks like a reborn player. He kind of looks like he's coming into his own here. And I think I even at one point, I definitely said this more off air than I probably did on air because I think I am usually pretty delusional as it is. So I kind of saved this one more for Dave to annoy him with. But I remember saying to him, I kind of wouldn't mind, Solanke at one point, being rumored with Spurs. And now all of a sudden it's come true. And I have to be his big defender now, Dark Sun G, because plenty of people are underwhelmed by it. Plenty of people don't like the signing. I don't necessarily blame them. I think there are a lot of reasons to be underwhelmed by it. It's just that he's kind of a guy that suits a lot of the attributes that I do like in a striker. And it seems like that's the case for Ange Postecoglou as well. And I'm really excited about this signing on a number of levels.
And look, you're the first person I thought of, when I seen the news. It's like, Jack's going to wake up a happy man today. And when you said it to me, I was like, oh, come on, Jack, surely we're going to show a bit more ambition than that. And here we are right now, so it probably shows, my thoughts on the signing. But look, I'll give my quick thoughts, I suppose, and then we will rampage on through this show. look, objectively, taking my thoughts out of it aside, I do think there are good attributes he brings. You know, the games last season against Newcastle at their place when they pressed us really high, Vicario was looking for that outball, trying to ping it to Johnson, Werner's son. None of them can hold it up. And it left to many people going, Postecoglou has no answer to this. Well, Dominic Solanke going up top, being able to ping the ball to him, get him to hold it up. That's one solution to that problem. When it comes to defensive set pieces, because Solanke's good in the air, hopefully he can really help us solve a problem in that down the other end. And also help make us more important from set pieces going forward. Also, I do think he is going to score goals in this system. Just my concern is are they going to be frequent enough to be able to sustain a title challenge plus cup runs, which is, look, okay, he's not Harry Kane, but it's expected of every Tottenham striker that walks in this door to be able to carry that weight, that expectancy, that burden. You know, and I just worry, will he make that step up? Because when you look at Richarlison, he didn't. Now, obviously, you can't say it's the boat for saying, but I just question whether Solanke has that in him, because it is a different sort of pressure and everything else when you're in an environment that has to work. And very quickly after a few games, unlike at Bournemouth, where you'd get a bit of a grace period from fans, you won't get that at Tottenham Hotspur. They'll be calling for you to be dropped, and rightly so. So I have my concerns whether he can actually make that step up to that sort of level and handle all of that, because it's entirely different than at Bournemouth. So that's maybe where my concerns come in. Of course, working out of possession, when you look at Bayern Munich against us last week, how they defended from the front, very aggressive, man for man. We didn't have time to even get turned on the ball in that first half. Solanke hopefully will help bring that to Tottenham Hotspur, because I do feel last season a lot of times we were very lazy in the press and actually openly, which leaves us open then on the counter a lot more as well. So hopefully, you know, there are attributes that Dominic Solanke does have to be able to suit this. I just think it's a huge step up, and I'm not sure whether he can make it. Look, if he does, I'll be the first one to hold my hands up and sing his name and chant. I'm absolutely shameless, but I do have my concerns, and I think they're fair concerns. Now, there are people out there going, Dave's a Solanke hater. I've never said I've hated him once. I just have concerns whether he can make that step up, but I'm open to be proven wrong. I'm not closed-minded on this. I'm just giving my opinion, and hopefully he can ease them concerns, because I do think they're key things for him to be able to make that step up at Tottenham and make it work. So that's my thoughts on it, Dark Song G, but let me know your thoughts on it, my man. Guys, anyone else, anything they want to add in on that, and then we'll start keep kicking on through the chats?
I think with Solanke, I think whatever Tottenham buy this summer, there was always going to be criticism. It didn't matter if they bought the best player in the world or they bought a Lionel Messi in his prime. There still will be people criticising it. And I think Solanke, if he hits the ground running, I think all that's going to fall away. If he doesn't hit the ground running, then all this is going to come out. You make very fair points, Dave. Tequila makes the same points as you. So I do understand it, but it's all about how he starts. If Spurs start well and he starts well, I think all this will go away. But I think some of our fan base, whatever we do, we can never do right. And I think we just need to trust in Ange and what he's building. And you do. You're one of the Ange's biggest fans. We've seen what he's done up in Celtic. We know what the man's capable of. And I think he's doing the same down here. And I think they're looking at Matt O'Reilly as well. He'd be a great addition if we can get him. But just give the lad time. But I can't disagree what you say, Dave. Some of the things you are right in what you're saying, but let's get behind him and let's get behind the team, because I think he will be a success.
For sure.
There, Dermotron, because I think it's one of those that, like you say, whoever we sign isn't going to be right unless it's who that person wanted. Now, you know, it's like everybody was crying out for Tony, but you kind of look at the way he plays, and does he suit the Tottenham or the Ange system? I don't think he does. Does Solanke suit it? Yeah, because he runs, you know, he does that closing down a lot. And that's the type of player that Ange seems to want. He wants the players with the right attitude, the right mentality within the team, and somebody who doesn't necessarily think he's bigger than the team. You know, I mean, we've had those players and managers that look at the squad and think, I'm the biggest thing here. You know, and that's not what Ange wants. He wants somebody that is going to go out and believe in the system that Ange wants. And hopefully that's what Solanke is going to bring to us. And yeah, you know, we can all look at it and think, well, there are better strikers out there. Yeah, there are better strikers out there, but that does not mean they suit the system Ange wants to play.
Yeah, I was just going to say, as sorry, Jack, as well as there being better strikers, they've got to want to come to Spurs as well. But I think a lot of people are getting hung up on the price tag, but you've got to think that he's homegrown, so you've got English tax. And I always use the example that Nketiah has been touted for around 30 million. And in my opinion, Solanke's double the player that he is. So it's actually not that much, but there is always going to be the pressure because 65 million is a lot of money. And we haven't got a very good record when we spend that sort of money because of the likes of Ndombele, Richarlison. I know he's a popular character, but he hasn't lived up to what we all thought he would be. So I think we've got to try and put the price tag aside and just give this guy some time. I think it could end up being a good, shrewd bit of business. But as Dave said, he's got to be ready to make that step up. But there is a little bit of football snobbery, you know. He's come from Bournemouth. Had we bought him from Real Madrid, and it was the same guy, it would have been completely different. Do you know what I mean? So,
Kate, don't you find it funny that these same people that are saying it was too much are the same people that keep telling us just put that extra 5 million down, just pay this extra money and get that player? Well, we've done it, and now we've spent too much. You know, again, you just can't win.
Do you know what I would say when it comes to the fee? I think we have to understand, you know, this summer, and I've tried to highlight it, that we are in the homegrown market for players. And I think you have to accept when you're in the homegrown market, there's an inflation, there's a tax on it, you know, and I think you have to wash your hands with that. Brennan Johnson, like, there's another one, way overpriced. And ideally, that's a 15, 20 million signing. But because of the homegrown stats attached to it, that adds on another 20 million. It's just the way it is in the homegrown market. And I think that's something we just have to wash our hands with when we're shopping in this market. Of course, it opens up the question, are Tottenham doing their best they can in this market? A lot of people would argue, no, there's a lot better. There's a lot more English talent out there that we can sort of go for to be able to solve this homegrown problem in our squad. But look, let's wait and see. You know, there's still a month left in the window, or a little bit less than a month. Let's wait and see. Look, personally, I'm starting to feel like Eze might not arrive, but let's wait and see. If Eze comes in, I think it'll solve everyone's problems, and I think most people will be excited heading into the club. I think Martin Knightsbridge, speaking to him earlier today, he was saying like a real head-turner sign, and I think that's what it will be, and I think it would sort of bring a lot of the fans together, singing off the same hymn sheet heading into the new season. A bit like what Maddison done. Although he failed to deceive, he did get many people to maybe look at that window a little bit differently and say, hang on, maybe there is a small bit of ambition here, but he didn't deliver in the end. But look, Solanke, look, to be honest, it doesn't matter what signing we get. There's always going to be a divisive opinion. You know, people like me, I'd love us to shop off Real Madrid, or like Dermot says, go and get in Lionel Messi. But then there'd be other people out there, you know, who'd be like, oh, he's too old. You know, why did we bring him in? It's always going to be that. I think signings come down to your own personal preference, whether you see whether they're good enough or not. It's just one of them. But guys, everyone, please keep getting in the comments your thoughts on Solanke. I'm so far behind the chat and super chats, member chats, so I'm going to crack on with them now, guys. We have this super sticker from DJ Samuel. Jack, do you know what it is? We'll come back to that.
Let me pull it up on screen. Sorry. I was laughing at Dark Sun G's Chelsea, super chat, because I have some great bookmark tweets for him. I think if he hasn't seen them already. But DJ Samuel, in maybe true Solanke fashion, he's gone for that kind of sort of fighting fox there, but it has, I believe, a little Japanese headband. So he's already in the anime mode. DJ Samuel, good for him. And like I said to Dark Sun G, I think there obviously was a reason why people like Nick, Lazy 8 have come into my life. All my friends were big into anime, and it all was in preparation for the Solanke signing. And I just didn't see the signs. I just didn't see the signals. So I'm very disappointed. And now I'm going to have to brush up on watching all 40,000 seasons of One Piece and One Punch Man and all those sort of things that he'll reference, in all of his goal celebrations. So I'm very far behind in the anime.
I have no time for anime, to be brutally honest with you. I know I'm going to get absolute ridicule for that comment. I've no time for it. I looked at the mask. I thought it was the B-Man or something like that, the Stinger or something like that, to be brutally honest with you. But big up DJ Samuel. Really appreciate the support, brother. We also have Jim, just a guy who loves Spurs, member for 13 months. In Solanke, we trust Tottenham till I die. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Jimbo. Who's your favourite now, Solanke or Richarlison? You have to pick between one now. Richarlison might feel like you're cheating on him, Jimbo. So let us know, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. We've also got the Hotspur, or the Alaskan Hotspur, from one of the greatest places on planet Earth. Remember, for 8 months. Big up, Dave. Come on, you Spurs. Solanke is a great signing. So we know that Alaskan Hotspur feels like he's ready to transform Tottenham's attack this year. What I will say is maybe there's an element to it. If we bring in a right winger and it's of a really good standard, you have Son off the left, people might actually, someone like me might look at the Solanke signing a little bit differently if I see that whole forward line and how it comes together. But let's wait and see. The Alaskan Hotspur, great to see you. Dermotron, member for 30 months, says, thank you for all you do for us. We are the mighty Spurs. We will rise up. We will win. We are Tottenham Hotspur. In Ange we trust. We never stop. I think Dermot's been on the fizzy drinks this morning. He's absolutely pumped for this game. He's absolutely excited. He doesn't even want to talk Solanke. He just wants to talk about Tottenham winning the league and winning the preseason. Big up, Dermotron. Absolute legend, my man. We've got Lee Harvey as well, member for 6 months. Afternoon, guys, girls. Glad Solanke is in Ange we trust. Big yourself up, Lee Harvey. Really good to see you in the building, my man. Look, be interesting to see. It is rumoured that Solanke is Ange's #1 choice. Hopefully, you know, he repays Ange's faith in him. I don't think Werner has, and I don't think Johnson has. Hopefully, Solanke does, Lee Harvey. But look, let's wait and see. He could hit the ground running, or it might take him time to get going. Let's wait and see how he does. But look, one thing is we've got 2 strikers heading into the season, which is something I have campaigned at this football club for quite some time, to build that squad, create that competition, and hopefully might get on to this conversation in a little bit. Maybe bring the best out of Richarlison. We just don't know. Let's wait and see on that one, Lee Harvey. But big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate the support, brother. So I think I have all the members' chats there. Then up to this one from Dark Zone G. Jack, you said you want to address this. He says, Blues, just by anyone linked. Other teams, for example, Casado, Mudryk, and now Neto. They have no plans, laughing my ass off, all expensive, and now adds injury prone.
Yes, and let me zoom in on this one for you, Dark Sun G. But Paddy Power had an absolutely fabulous tweet. They actually said that scientists have predicted that by 2026, you'll never be more than 6 feet away from someone who signed for Chelsea this summer, practically as close as you would be to any spider. And also Footy Humor saying Chelsea players warming up for next season.
I've seen. Have you seen their team bus? I was just going to say this. This is the last
one. This is the new Chelsea team bus, Dark Sun G. Todd Bowley had to make some improvements to it.
Oh, absolute quality. Absolute quality. Do you know what? I have to give Paddy Power a special mention. Not only do they clip me up when Tottenham, you know, are involved and stuff like that, so fair play to them, but they put out some brilliant stuff. For me, they've won the transfer window. They were absolutely phenomenal over the Euros, over the transfer window. Fair play to Paddy Power with Dark Song G. Bit of a different response than usual, so hopefully you enjoy that, my man. Big yourself up, brother, and good to see you. I know he's going to absolutely love it. He loves, you know, having a pop at rival clubs. He also follows up and says, I took pictures with Ben and Sim. Also, Bergvall was popular with the female fans because of his handsome visual. Also, the halftime show was amazing. Ben and Sim were like celebrities up there signing autographs and everything. I text Ben. I says, look, you need to move out there. You're going to have a different lifestyle out there altogether. You know, you're adored wherever you go. But great to see, you know, Ben and Sim getting the recognition out there. They run an absolute brilliant channel, so fair play to them. As for Bergvall, look, I think he's probably popular with a lot of the female population, but he's also very popular with a lot of men as well. You know, someone like me, because of how he plays, I think he's so graceful on the ball. I just think he's absolutely beautiful to watch. You know, reminds me a little bit of Pirlo, you know, in the way he gets on the ball and glides around with it and stuff like that. Obviously, too early to judge, but I just think we've got a promising player on our hands. And I mean, what a signing. What was it, 8 million from Joe Gardens? I mean, absolutely phenomenal signing, Dark Song G. Big yourself up. What was, the halftime show was the K. Was it a K-pop band? Me and Jack were trying to figure that one out. Let us know if it was a K-pop band or not, Dark Song G. And by the way, they're blowing up all across the world. They're having concerts right across Europe at this moment. A lot of these K-pop bands, people find them very, very entertaining. Big up, Dark Song G. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. We've got the Belgian Hotspur, a.k.a. Joris says, in Ange, if Ange wants him, I want him. Now a winger. I think we'll all agree, guys, that we really do want a winger. With Tottenham, of course, did miss out on Pedro Porro. Someone like me, I've seen a bit of outrage about on social media, which I don't get, because someone like me didn't want him in the first place because of his injuries. Don't get me wrong, fantastic player. But what's the point of bringing him in if you're only going to get less than 50% of the games out of him? So I don't be outraged by it. But guys, what wingers maybe are left on the market that we would like to see? Me personally, I'm looking at a Federico Chiesa, I'm looking at a Bakayoko, or I fully believe Eze can play there. He played there against us last season at our place and he destroyed us.
Yeah, I agree with you, Dave. They're the three I would have said. I think out of those three, the only one that could happen is Chiesa. I don't see either of the other two happening. I think Eze, I know he's got a release clause, but I don't think Levy will pay it all in one. They want 50 mil up front, and realistically, I don't see him doing it. And apparently Man City are interested in Eze as well. That will cause a whole new level of meltdown, which we can all look forward to. As for Chiesa, I think it's the easiest of the deals to do. There's a Paratici effect as well. So that's the one I can see coming in. But do you know what? I'd be open really to any winger, because that's the one area I really feel we need to improve before the start of the season. It really concerns me.
No, I'm in complete agreement. Soren, Dermo, have you any strong opinions on Tottenham getting another winger?
I agree with Kate when he said, look, if Eze wants to go to Man City, let him. Because if he wants to sit on the bench and just scratch his backside, then that's down to him. Well, it is. I mean, you look at players, you look at some players that go under Man City, all they do is sit on the bench and then they move on. I think if you want to rarely come to a club where it's going places, then you come to Tottenham. You go to Man City. Man City's like the retirement home for Premier League players, where you're going to get big paychecks. You come to Tottenham with hopefully you're going to win stuff. I think Kate is spot on when she says Chiesa from Juventus is the easiest one to get done. But don't rule out Eze. Eze wants to remain in London. So don't rule it out yet. And if Levy can pay 50 million for Solanke, there's no reason now he can't pay the buyout clause. It's all about compromise. If they can come to a good compromise with Palace and a good package, Palace say, okay, then we'll take it. But I think Kate is spot on. Chiesa is the easiest one, but please just go for Eze. But I wouldn't be upset with Chiesa either, but we do need a winger.
For sure. Couldn't agree more. Bit harsh on Eze though, Dermo. One thing I will say actually though is yesterday I got a bit of a stiffy seeing Saha linked with a loan move to Palace. I was sitting there, I was like, Eze's on, and then 5 minutes later it was expelled, and I had to come out my euphoric state. It was a bit of a letdown, Belgian Hotspur. Big yourself up, my man, and really appreciate the support, brother. Where am I now? I'm getting there, guys. I am getting there. So Daxon G also had Solanke is homegrown. Now let's get Eze for homegrown. 100%. And look, this is something I tried to highlight, coming into this season. You look at our foreign side of the squad right now, currently, we're over the numbers. We still have a couple of players to get rid of. So we don't actually have much more room there really for improvement right now until some other players get off the books. But when it comes to the homegrown side, that's something that has let this squad down for a number of years. And we need to add to it properly so that we can actually create a proper squad. That's one thing why Villa are where they are now. Not only has their European recruitment been spot on, but Lange's homegrown recruitment at Aston Villa was a huge plus, giving them an extra 8 players for a manager to work with, which is absolutely huge. And that is what we're trying to address right now, this window, Dark Song G. And hopefully Eze is the next one in the door, because realistically, you only need 4 of quality, and then the next 4 are usually under 21 players or players that have come through the academy system. So you only need 4. So let's bring in Eze and really bolster that quality, Dark Song G. Absolutely spot on, brother. Big yourself up. Where am I now? Where am I down to? I'm getting there, guys. Just bear with me, everyone. Just bear with me. We've got this from Shemi. Big up, Shem Tam. Great to see you as always. So don't worry, Dave. Once our videos get hold of Solanke, he'll be lying on their beds with Richie out for a month or so. Please, Shem Tam. Do you know what? This is one thing. I didn't really want to bring that point up. I brought up last night on Last Word on Spurs as well. And as soon as I did, I felt like, what are you doing, Dave? If he gets injured now, you're going to get the blame. But look, one thing I will say is Geoff Scott is gone now, who's been over that academy, over the medical department since I was playing Football Manager back in 2007, which is absolutely madness. He was head of it back then and years before that as well. So hopefully now that he's gone, hopefully the academy will adapt to maybe more modern techniques. Because one thing that used to piss me off, Shem, you should be told the player's coming back, and then you're sitting there 6 weeks or 6 games later going, hang on, he's supposed to be back 5 weeks ago. What's the story? So hopefully now the time frames are actually proper time frames, Shem Tam. But I'm going to pass the blame on to you if he gets injured, by the way. So big up, Shem. Dark Song G also says, I know different positions, but isn't Ake also from Bournemouth and Wilson too? They both helped City and Newcastle respectively win the league and top 4. I mean, Simon, we'll pass this one off to you, I suppose, my man. Do you agree with Dark Song G? Is this the way we should be looking at it? Is someone like me maybe being a bit snobby?
Diamonds in the rough at Bournemouth.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think, to me, if you've got a player that shines in a team, doesn't matter what team it is, if, you know, quality will always come to the top and shine. And if they're good enough to play and shine in a team, then what's to say they're not good enough to go to the top teams and play? But I mean, sort of going back to the previous question, I'd like to see Chiesa come in as well, because I think you know, that it's that right wing that we need some help on. He can also play left wing, which then pushes Werner down another spot. And, you know, at worst, he can play down the middle. So he really does suit Ange's system, whereas, you know, he can play multi positions. But
let me ask you a follow-up question, though, on Chiesa. Just play devil's advocate, because I'm on the same opinion. I think it'd be quality to come in here. But other people that maybe would say, look, you say Neto's injury-prone. Is Chiesa not the same?
Well, he's not as injured. I mean, he's had a bad injury, but he hasn't had as many injuries. But my argument would be, look, I mean, if you look at what we've spent, we've basically spent the money on Solanke and that's it. Everything else is balanced out, what we've paid so far. So what's really to stop us getting Eze and Chiesa? Because Eze and Chiesa don't play the same positions. So, you know, why are we saying it's got to be one or the other? I mean, it possibly will be one or the other, but can you just imagine the meltdown if Daniel Levy goes and splashes money on Eze and Chiesa? You know, what the hell is everyone going to have to moan about? It's going to be such a boring...
It'd be great problem to have, no?
You know, I mean, you know, it's like it'll be the old Sean Butler one. You know, what's the rating out of 10 so far this transfer window? And everybody will be going, oh, it's shit because we've spent too much money. You know, I'd like to see Chiesa come in. Whether we'll get Eze, I'm doubtful, but you know, I'm not going to rule anything out. That's the nice thing about it. But going back, yeah, I mean, to me, it doesn't matter what team they've come from. I mean, it's like the slating off of Gray because he's come from Leeds. It doesn't matter where they've come from. If they're good enough, they're good enough.
We even left this out, actually, Dave, in Twitter Reacts, but just wanted to quickly add that one of the Bournemouth fans kept complaining that people keep buying their players of the season. Yeah. Like, it's been Nathaniel Ake, then it was Callum Wilson, might have been another one as well. Then it was Dominic Solanke. So I think this Bournemouth fans just started crying, whereas like anytime they name a player of the season, they just know they're going to be leaving that summer, which I found very funny.
And they can cry more because we strong-armed them, which is absolutely brilliant. We little-manned them. Kate, what were you going to add as well?
No, I was going to say the same fans that were crying that we got Archie Gray from Leeds are also the same fans that were crying that we didn't get Somerville from Leeds. So, do you know what? I've given up trying to work people out. I've given up, Dave. The world is a confusing place and people are even more confusing. That's all I'm going to say.
No more interpreting.
And don't forget, Kate, we should be playing the youngsters, but we're not supposed to play the youngsters.
Exactly.
Yeah, look, the youngsters aren't good enough, but we should play the youngsters.
This is why I absolutely hate the transfer window. You know, Jack knows my opinion on it. I absolutely despise it. I just want it to be over and done with and get back into the football so we can have conversations around the football rather than what is going to happen, what's not going to happen, what is a good signing, what's not a good signing. Because at the end of the day, it's all down to your own personal opinion, and that's all we end up arguing over. It's crazy. Yeah. The transfer window is a crazy thing. But yeah, I absolutely hate it. But Dark Sung G, very good point, actually. And look at Ake now. He's absolutely flying in the City lineup. Callum Wilson done a job for Newcastle. Spot on, actually. Maybe a bit of snobbery on me, but I stand by my point. I do stand by it. Can he make that step up? Hopefully, Solanke proves me wrong. Big up, Dark Sung G. Kate, Jim, just a guy who loves Spurs, also says, Ange's building a good team here. It will take time. Solanke is a good sign and will fit into the system like a glove. Ange will take us forward, Tottenham, till I die. I do have a follow-up question on this just a little bit later on, but Kate, there's a lot of questions around Ange Postecoglou's tactics, and I am seeing it prop up more and more where they're concerned, you know, about how exposed we are at the back and the amount of goals we concede. Is Ange the right man to take us forward, like Jim says?
God, I'm going to get shot. Personally, I like Ange. I think he's a little bit stubborn. Obviously, we did the stadium tour on Tuesday with Mickey Hazard, and I spoke to him a lot about him. And he sort of said he really... he really thinks that Ange is working on a plan B now. For me, I don't see Ange lasting this season.
Wow.
That's not because I want him to go. I'm not saying that at all. I just think if he doesn't adapt a bit more, I think he'll be gone this season. But I'm hoping he does show that adaptability, because the Premier League, he is savage. And at the moment, even in pre-season, we've watched and we've been carved through the midfield like a knife through butter. Do you know what I mean? And if that starts happening week in, week out, the fans are going to get restless. The chants are going to start. When the chants start and Levy gets a little bit under pressure, he tends to pull the trigger. So I hope that he's the man to take us forward. I think if he can be a little bit more adaptable, because I still don't think we've got the squad to play exactly how he wants. It's going to take time. So if he can just adapt it a bit, then yeah, I do believe he can win us something. But what worries me is whether he can actually do that or not, or whether he will do it or not. I mean, I did a poll. Sorry, I was just going to say, I did a poll in the chat the other day, and I asked who would rather have Poch back right this second or keep Ange. And Ange won. Ange won by 4%. That was all. If someone offered me now, I'd take Poch back in a heartbeat over Ange Postecoglou, because I just prefer the way he lines up the team. But that's me. But I do love Ange. But his tactics worry me. I'm not going to lie.
No, fair point. And look, you know, it is a big season. Typically, Tottenham managers don't usually last 2 seasons. So, you know, it is about getting, like we said, last season is about getting them through the first season. This season is about getting them through the second season as well, still in the job. But Soren, you had something you wanted to add to what Kate was saying there.
I mean, you know, we're hearing this, that, you know, Ange's going to be gone by Christmas and the board won't support him. My question is, where do we have to be before we do get rid? You know, I mean, if we're sitting in 6th or 7th, are we getting rid? You know, are the fans going to turn on him if we're 6th or 7th? If we're 4th or 5th, are we going to get rid of him because, you know, we're conceding? I've stated all along that, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes, but I don't want him to. But it's not going to be one where the board give up on him. I think it's the fans that will force him out. That's the thing I've got, because you're already seeing so many, you know, of the loud fans. I mean, obviously only on social media, but what are already wanting him gone. And, you know, it's like, oh, he'll be gone by Christmas, he'll be gone by January, he'll be gone by this. But there's no backing up of why. You know, the way I'm looking at it now is, if we've seen a couple of signings, so Werner, Solanke, and hopefully some others that might come in, the Korean lad, if these are Ange's players, the board are actually backing him with what he wants, which tells us they've got a long-term plan for him still. So it's not going to be the board that turn on him. It will be the fans that forces Levy to get rid. And I hope for once Levy kind of closes his ears and just sticks it out with him. I really hope we do, because it's you know, it's too repetitive. Get rid of the manager, get rid of the manager, get rid of the manager. We've got to give him a chance. And the thing is, now we are building a squad of youngsters which are probably going to be ready in maybe next season after. And you kind of want, when you look at the players we're getting, they're quite attacking, and hopefully Postecoglou will be the type of manager that can mould them to play that type of football and bring winning ways to Tottenham. If we get rid of him again, then who do we bring in? And it's probably going to be another style of manager, which means we've got to do a clear out again. So, you know, it's about time we stuck with somebody.
I 100% agree and share them.
I don't think Kate does.
No, do you know what it is? I'm seeing the chat saying just when I was starting to look forward to the season. But look, I've got my Ange t-shirt on. I'm not an Ange outer. I'm just saying it as I see it. And I think anyone who says that the football we played last season was enjoyable, so much of it wasn't enjoyable. And I agree with Conte, it was the same. But when we played brilliant, the first 10 games, it was great before we got sussed out. He just needs to tweak it slightly. It's all down to Ange and how stubborn he wants to be. He's a winner. I get that. But the Premier League is the hardest league in the world. And once you're sussed out, you do have to adapt. And if he does that, I've no doubt that he will be successful at Spurs. And I hope that Levy keeps him, because, like, Someone says, it doesn't work. Keep changing philosophies, changing managers. It's just we can prove it doesn't work. Do you know what I mean? So
I think with that though, Kate, well, I mean, I was one that was saying I thought the football was better last year compared to the Conte era. For the simple reason, there were games where we were exciting. There were games where it was, but there were also games, to caveat that, where it wasn't necessarily to me that it was Ange that was wrong or the system. It was the players just didn't care in them games. And it was always the games where you expected us to go out and win. You know, like we were before over previous years, where it's like, oh, we're easily going to win this, then we come out and lose. It was the same games, and you just looked and you thought, you know what, they haven't turned up again. What's wrong with these players? And if we can get rid of that and go back to them sort of first 10 games, and where I get where you say we got sussed out, I disagree with that. I think the injuries and the suspensions killed us. And because the system and the players had to change, and we just never got back into a routine. And yes, I understand where it was, well, we've got sussed out, but then there were still games against teams where we were sussed out, but we were still bossing them. So, you know, we had the chances to score. We had the chances to win the game. We just never converted most of our chances. So it was our own faults as much as it was the teams that sussed us out, I think. I think there was a little bit of them both, but it was, to me, the worst thing about last season was the games where the players just gave up.
Yeah. Do you know what? For me, I actually see both sides. I think there is legitimate concerns for people heading into this season because of seasons gone by. You know, in recent years, we haven't had a manager that's been with us for 2 seasons, haven't had a manager that's been given a chance to build something. Unfortunately, right now, we live in a climate, and especially because Tottenham haven't won anything in so long, there's a lot of pressure and demand on everybody to hit the ground running and deliver straight away within the 1 season they're here. However, if you go back and look at Spurs managers in years gone by, Pochettino took time to build it. Harry Redknapp took time to build it. You know, you got to give Martin Jol, to a degree, from where we were to where he left us, took time to build it. You have to give these managers a chance to be able to build it. And I hope fans can see that constantly going after managers and asking for them to be sacked is not the way to go about bringing success to this football club. We've tried that. It hasn't worked. I do think the Ange Postecoglou appointment was with a view of a project, building this up and letting it take time. When it comes to last season, being brutally honest, I think Ange was undone by what the club didn't do last summer. And that's my fear heading into this season. Last summer, they sold Harry Kane. Now, the fan base, many people were questioning, I'm sure, would he really fit into Ange Postecoglou's system? Well, Ange put that to bed the other day. He thought it was crazy that people were even talking about that, like I said at the time. So me and Ange see eye to eye on certain things. But the reality is they never replaced that striker in the transfer window. And it came back to haunt us. You know, when we were looking for that guy up front, we didn't have it. And it came back to haunt us. That's a lot of it when the football started being boring, the horseshoe shit. Because we didn't have that target man, that different dimension, that physical presence in the box where we could change up what we were trying to do. And look, I'd argue it's the same with a lot of other managers in years gone by, where they ultimately, the failures come from what we haven't done. We can sit here and moan about Conte, but why would they be bringing world-class defenders under Ange and not under Conte when that was required of him? And that's what ultimately what cost him, you know, at the time, was what we didn't do. But we are at a time now where we don't have as much to do in terms of signings as we have done in other windows. We haven't looked at 150 million trying to make it spread across 8 positions. We only have select few signings now where we can sit there, take our time, pick the right guys to bring them in here and help take this forward. What we can't do right now is make pivotal mistakes and pivotal errors that will help us, that will make us regress. I just hope that the board they brought in a striker. Hopefully, it's the right level, the right choice. And unfortunately, because it's his number one choice, we'll live or die by this. If it works out, it will propel us. If it doesn't, it's going to cost him his job. But also, you know, he needs a backup left back. If they don't do that, at some point, that's also going to come back to haunt us. I think Ange brings a lot of the football that many Spurs fans want. But I do agree with the concerns. He needs to shore it up, tighten it up, you know, so that we don't concede as many goals. Let's wait and see whether he has that in the lockers. Right now, when you look at the preseason games and stuff like that, with it doesn't look like he is going to change anything. I believe Ange maybe thinks in the way I saw it last season, where it's you bring in a better striker, you bring a better forward players, you kill teams off, you take your chances, a bit to like what Soren was saying. And then all of a sudden, they're not like hitting you on the counter with 10 minutes to go and getting equalizers and winners, and you get more points on the board. Look, let's wait and see what happens. But one thing I will say is, Ange has very quickly changed a lot of the mood around this club from where it was under Conte to where we are now. And I think many people forget that, how much of a mess we were in under Conte. How, fan base, everyone going absolutely ballistic. He's done a good job in that regard. And for me, I back him going forward. I've seen what he's done at Celtic. I understand what he does behind the scenes, which translates onto the football pitch. Not many people go, but he's not delivering trophies like he did at Celtic. Like Kate said, the Premier League's a step up. It's going to take that a little bit longer. But I do think he's the right man. Many people call him naive. He gets found out. Okay, then what does that make all the other managers that finished behind him last season? The other 15 managers, he finished 5th last season, first year in the Premier League. That doesn't sound like someone to me that's found out or that's naive, or that shows me that that's someone competent, but also needs help to be able to take this on to the next level. That's where I'm at with it. We'll get on to Jack and Dermo and let them have their say. Jacko?
I'm sorry, I was kind of responding to people in the comments that were just coming in. So you go to Dermatron.
Yeah, Dermo.
I mean, look, I'm sorry, Kate. Respect the hell out of you. I think you're a great YouTuber, but totally disagree with you. But I mean it in the nicest possible way. I mean, I've been on record to go, Poch is a loser because he didn't win anything. And I stand by that, and I will always stand by that. I think going back is not a great idea. But where I sort of will go back to
I'm sorry. Did you just call Poch a loser?
Yeah, and I stand by that.
Fair
enough.
Anyway,
anyway, it's a standard joke between me and Philip Brady. So that's what that's about, because I know he's watching, but it's a standard joke between him and me.
Shameless.
We could go back to Birkinshaw when he got us relegated. If the board had sacked Birkinshaw back in 77, would we have gone on to get the success we did with him in the early 80s? Probably not, because we wouldn't have bought Ozzy and Ricky. We wouldn't have got the players in. And so I think sacking managers every 5 minutes is not the answer. When we had Conte and Mourinho, we were all shouting about the boring football. And it was boring football. Now we've got a manager that plays the Tottenham way. Some fans are not happy with it, where I do agree with Kate that we did get sussed out last season, and maybe it's not because of the squad, or maybe because of the players not trying, or maybe Ange not changing. We did get sussed out quite a bit, but I've seen a lot of Ange at Celtic, and he does change in his second season. It takes him a season to work out the league, and then he comes up with a plan B or a plan C. And we've got the players now, I think, to adapt to that. So I think if fans want Ange out, who do they want in instead? Who's their next manager? And then, as Soren says, we have to change the whole philosophy again. I can't go through another rebuild. I think Ange will get it right. We just have to be patient with Ange, and we have to trust in what he's doing. We have to trust that he's being backed in what players he's getting. But I just hope we do, and I hope Ange stays. I think if we don't start well, will the fans get on Ange's back? Will Levy then get the tricky finger? Possibly. His reputation precedes him with that. But we have to get behind. We have to stick with a manager. We stuck with Poch for 5 years, and he brought us nearly to the promised land, but didn't take us over the line. Ange will take us over the line. He's a winner. For Conte, we're reminded about Conte. Conte was only doing us a favour. And that's the bit that annoys me with Conte. He was only there to inflate his own ego. He wasn't there for us or the club. Mourinho, we should never have sacked him 6 days before final. That was ridiculous. And I will blame Levy on that. But we were complaining about...
The thing with Conte is where I think people seem to overlook is he only goes into the big teams that are virtually on the brink of winning something anyway. You name me a team that he's gone into and actually built a winning team. He hasn't.
No.
And if he is such a world-class manager, he could have done more with our players. Well,
Yeah.
he didn't. And yes, he got us to a top 4 finish. I appreciate that. But we could have probably got that top 4 finish with another manager as well. He didn't really do anything more than we could have done. And then, you know, I mean, and I was one of them, was saying, you know, give him his preseason and let's see what he does next year, because we're going to go. And it got worse and worse and worse. So, you know, Conte isn't the great manager that everybody wants to build him onto. But I agree with you there that, you know, the football was dross. It was horrible.
And with Ange, he will get there. And I understand I understand where Kate's coming from, because she makes a very good point, and I do get it. But maybe because I've seen Ange at Celtic, and I know how bad Celtic were in before he came to Celtic and what he did at Celtic. Maybe I'm using that more as for a barometer for me for what Ange can do than other fans, because I don't know, but I think sacking another manager is not the way to go. I think Ange will walk before he's sacked. He will resign if he's not getting what he wants. He done the same when Australia qualified for the World Cup. He resigned because the Australian FA didn't give him what he wanted. Ange will resign before he's sacked, but he won't, and he will take us to the promised land. But okay, I get where you're coming from. I'm just a deluded Spurs fan, you know that. So I'm always going to look at the bright side of life. I know. And I know you've spoke great about Ange, and I know, and I've watched your shows, and you're very positive on Ange, but we got to get behind this. We can't keep not sacking managers. It's ridiculous. Let's get behind Ange. If we get all behind Ange, we can go to the promised land. Let's just get behind this team.
The key behind winning trophies is consistency. And Tottenham show inconsistency in terms of chopping and changing plans, sacking managers and everything else. If you want to win trophies, you have to have that consistency in the management, within the squad, within the signings coming in the door and everything else. So we can't keep hiring and firing managers. That's just and I've been of that opinion for quite some time, actually. Jacko, where are you when it comes to Ange Postecoglou? Because there is a lot of concerns around the fan base.
I mean, I've made it no secret that I actually preferred defensive football, and I actually did like, the defensive managers that we had before, because that's just how I prefer to see the game. I would rather actually win 1-0 or 2-0 than win 5-2 or 5-3. It's just not really the way that I enjoy football. I find it to be a bit too roller coastery. You end up kind of just being all over the shop, all over the map. I mean, Dave and I are a little ridiculous on the watch alongs. And so I would like a bit of control sometimes, where you feel like you do have the game, sort of in the palm of your hand. You don't feel like the opposition is going to score on you at any moment's time, but then you also could score against the opposition at any moment's time. I think it's really exciting for the neutral, but personally, if it's my team involved, I just think it's a bit too much kind of, chaos for me personally. And so I do like kind of the defensive tactics. That being said, everybody, at least Dave and I, we speak to a lot of Spurs fans. When we had Conte, when we had Mourinho, a lot of people were asking for more of an attack-minded, progressive, kind of more modern style of football, which is more attack-minded, which is more on the front foot. And plenty of people cited the fact that Spurs have always had that in their roots, that's what Spurs fans enjoy. If they're not going to have the best team on paper, if they don't have the best of players, they want to see their team go for it. They don't want to see their team kind of, cower away or, play with every man behind the ball in hopes that they can hit somebody on the counter, that sort of style. They want to see them go toe-to-toe with the opposition, put all their efforts out there. And that's exactly what Ange has delivered for us. And so I do find it a bit kind of odd or confusing that all of a sudden now we're kind of going back to this sort of conservative or kind of cautious approach of what we would like to see in our football, because I think then we should have stuck with the previous managers who we had before, who were kind of masters of that type of style, in fact, and were very successful with that style. But we all then complained before that it was too boring, that it was all tactically naive in the case of the previous managers who were more defensive. So I think you just have to embrace whatever we have decided to go with, which is this modern attacking brand of football. I personally, like just said now, not really my preferred when it comes to my own team. When I'm watching like a regular game with Dave on like Tifo or something, I would love to see two teams go at each other like that. But when it's my team involved, I get a little nervous. I'm a little bit more on edge than I would like to be. It's just, this is what we wanted, and this is what Ange has delivered. And I'm actually happy to kind of bite my tongue and hold back, maybe what I truly sometimes think about what I would prefer in tactics. Because at the end of the day, it's like signing staves. It's just opinions. It's just what you prefer to see in a football versus what you prefer, tactically versus another person. And I am actually trying to learn and trying to relearn and trying to embrace what Ange is trying to do on the pitch here. It's not necessarily what I have always liked and, sort of managers, but it's something that I'm just trying to kind of, like rewire my brain with when it comes to, tactics and when it comes to a certain style and approach of play. And like I'll say one last time, the Mickey Hazards and the Glenn Hoddles, the Ozzy Ardiles of the world, they have said that this is the style of football that they also prefer, that they used to play themselves, right? So this is essentially in our roots as a club. And I can also get with that. I can also, come to terms with that. It's probably the least Spurs thing about me is the fact that I'm not always the biggest fan of those type of tactics. But as you've heard, Dave, I don't really try to complain about Ange's tactics too much because I do think it is just based on opinions of what you might prefer tactically versus another person. And I'm willing to bite my tongue about Ange right now because he's only been in the job for so long anyways. Like he is trying to embed this sort of style of play, and I'm happy to see where it goes, even if I personally myself might have some different preferences.
But Jack, isn't that the beauty of the game though? I mean,
correct.
Would you ever change the way that game against Ajax ended? That was one of the most exciting games in the world. The same as the Man City game, before it. And so many times under Poch where we went to 93, 94, 95 minutes and then got a winner. And that to me is the sort of football I want to see where you're on the edge of your seat all the time. You don't know whether we're going to lose. You don't know whether we're going to win, but you never give up hope because you have so much faith in your team being able to come back. And look, I mean, that's one of the best memories for a long time is watching Tottenham under Poch in those games where we came back in the last minute. That game against Ajax, it was mental. There were bottles flying all over in this room. And, it was, you just didn't believe it, but you knew it was coming sort of thing. You always hoped. And that's the sort of football I want to see back at the ground where we just never give up. It doesn't, if we do lose, we lose. But everybody goes on about the Chelsea match last year. We never gave up in that match. And that was what I want my Tottenham to do. Doesn't matter whether we lose as long as we don't give up.
I mean, I can go back to the Keith Burkershaw as a younger fan. I can go back to Keith Burkershaw's years and how successful we were under and how good the football was. I remember one game, Glenn Hoddle absolutely. I think it was Johan Cruyff was slating Glenn Hoddle before a game. I think it was Feyenoord we were playing. 45 minutes, Glenn Hoddle taught him a footballing lesson. And that was Tottenham then. Tottenham always played exciting football. We played it under Bill Nick. It doesn't matter what decade or what football is in. Spurs have always played attacking football. It's in our DNA. If we play anything else, it's alien to us. We don't know how to play it. Spurs are an attacking side, and we have to stick with what Tottenham is. Tottenham are an attacking side. Bill Nick did it. Arthur Rowe did it. Keith Burkershaw did it. Terry Venables did it when he won us an FA Cup. Harry Redknapp did it in his time. Ozzy Ardiles, which I love. I think he's the famous five. I mean, it was great going to a game. You could end up losing 8-0, winning 7-0. You wouldn't know with Ozzy. You got Poch in his era, and she's doing the same.
Yeah.
This is what Tottenham is. To dare is to do. We seem to forget our motto. To dare is to do. You have to dare.
I think the chairman seems to forget at times as well.
He does, but we have to remember, if you look at the fabric, if you look at the foundations of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, way back in 1882, 1901, the first team to ever win an FA Cup as a non-league team. Nobody's done it since. First team to win a European trophy. First team to win 2 European trophies. First team in the last century to do the double. The first team ever to win sort of 3 FA Cups in the same decade. All this because of the way we played. We were the team of the century in the 60s. We had a great team in the early 70s. Great team in the early 80s. We may not have always got it right, but Tottenham's way is attacking football. We have to remember who we are and what we are. We're Tottenham Hotspur. We have to stick by that.
And I think you're spot on in that. I think when I think back on it, on my lifetime over Spurs, I think Spurs fans have been at their most unhappiest when they've had a defensive-minded manager in charge rather than an attacking-minded manager. I think, I do agree with you. And my dad will also say, what attracted him to Spurs was the style of football, also looking good in the all-white kit, doing it and stuff. He absolutely loved it. So you're absolutely spot on. Big up Jimbo, causing an absolute riot there. Really appreciate that, though, my man. I really do. But look, we are going to keep going because, guys, I am so far behind on chat. So let's keep going and let's get some of these in. We've got Dark Sun G says, if we went for Santiago, I would have been underwhelmed because he isn't a physical striker. Being a fan of these types of forwards since 2002 because of Seoul's Ki-hyun, who is my second favorite Korean player era, Lee Young-pyo first. The Tottenham left back. He used to drive me insane, Dark Sun G. I'm not going to lie. I remember, was it against Man United? He had an absolute stinker. Never, ever recovered from then. Son's my favorite Korean player of all time, to be brutally honest with you, my man. But Jack, I sort of agree with that sentiment on Santiago. I made it very clear from the off. I was underwhelmed. I thought he was one of these maybe football hipster names, rather than actually what we need.
Yeah, I've been surprised that people have even wanted Santiago Jimenez more than Solanke. At the end of the day, it's only opinions and what you may prefer in a player. But I feel like Solanke is kind of still more of a kind of less of a risk than what Santiago Jimenez would have been. Like, he's only played in the Eredivisie, doesn't play that well for the Mexican national team personally, from what I have seen and what others have seen who do watch the Mexican national team. And we have seen that a lot of guys who have great numbers in the Dutch league come to other leagues, and it takes a while for them to adjust. And they even end up actually not living up to the hype plenty of times. And Santiago Jimenez could have easily been one of those. And when it comes to like the big, tall, physical strikers, again, there's actually another kind of random Korean player that I used to play with in FIFA a lot, Dark Sun G, named like Kim Shin-wook. And he was like 6'7", like weighed like 220 pounds. And that's just how much of a weirdo I am when it comes to the big, tall strikers. I absolutely loved using that guy in FIFA. And I'm curious if he would know the name. But yeah, with Santiago Jimenez, that was another guy that we were linked with that I actually wasn't that keen on. I was kind of keen on the most of the list. I wasn't that dissatisfied with the big list that the journos put out at the beginning of the season. It felt like they put every striker under in Europe basically on that list. But I wasn't really that keen on Santiago Jimenez for the most part. And I'm actually much happier with someone like Dominic Solanke personally.
And lastly, I would say maybe I'll probably take Lee Young-pyo back with the bad need for a backup left back at this point. Dark Sun G, big yourself up there, man, and really appreciate the support. Wayne Bonner has gifted out 2 channel memberships. To be honest, Wayne, I'm so far behind. I don't even know where they've gone to and who they've gone to.
I tried looking it up. I also sort of lost it, but I saw that Sean Mitchell might have been a member just recently. And what's crazy about Sean Mitchell is I feel like, we see him in the chat, but, he hasn't always made it known that he could come on because he's been a member for 37 months. 37 months by the looks of things. And I think he was gifted one by the one and only Wayno. And then Matthew Ball was gifted one earlier. So big up Matthew and big up Sean. Sean, would love to have a chat with you. And then Matthew Ball, please come on, take advantage of Wayno's generosity. And then DJ Samuel looks like he also renewed a membership as well and has also been a member with us for 21 months. So big up to you, DJ. Absolute legend. Our man out in Tottenham, our representative of the Irish Hotspur over there.
Big up, DJ, my man. Really, really appreciate that. And also big up Wayne Bonner. Very generous of you. And make sure the people who are the lucky recipients, make sure you say thank you. And I do apologize. I'm so far behind. I'm having a slow day, but I'm working my way down. Wayne, we've got Lee Harvey says, Dave, could we see you and Jack do a pre-season tour next year? Look, to be honest with you, they're very expensive to get to, follow around, accommodation. It's weeks, while you're out there. And to be honest with you, you'd need a sponsorship behind you to maybe even consider it and help you get out there, to be brutally honest. But look, Lee, if they go somewhere around Europe and it's cheap enough, I have no problem sleeping in a tent and going and doing it. So let's wait and see, my man. Big up, Lee Harvey. Really appreciate the comment. We've got Faz Radfar. David, can you imagine Dom replacing Kane in your love? No, not really, to be brutally honest. You know me, Faz, my love is reserved for greats. I don't just give it out willy-nilly, to any average Joe or any average Dom, to be brutally honest with you. Mine only goes to great players. If he can come in and by the time he's 33 and he's banging in 150 goals for the club, might change. But we'll wait and see Faz Radfar. Right now, my love is with Romero, Porro, Son, Van de Ven, and Papa Batassar right now, my man. That's where my love is. Oh, and Vicario. How dare I leave out my Big Victor. We've also got the Belgian Hotspur. This is Chelsea. Chiesa is not the same player since he's ACL. What about Doué?
Yeah.
I do hear what you're saying about Chiesa, but I do think there's a bit of a misconception as well. You know, he did play a right wing back. I think was under Allegri for a long period of time as well, which is also not really his natural position. Look, I think he's a fantastic player. I'd like to get him in here, to be brutally honest. And I think he is over that ACL injury. As for Doué, I think it's a huge gamble. I'd rather put the money down on Eze or on Chiesa than I would Doué, to be brutally honest with you. Look, I'm just burnt from when we brought in Nguyen and Kudu from the French league. I don't really want to go back there for any attacking players. I don't want to go back there for any midfielders, to be brutally honest with you. I'm a bit hurt from what we've bought from the French leagues in years gone by, Belgian Hotspur. So I'm a bit dubious about going into that league, to be brutally honest with you. Hopefully you understand my concerns, my man. As always, good to see Donovan Oosterreicher in the house. Dominic the B-Man Solanke. Yeah, look, that's what I thought he wanted to be when I seen the mask, to be brutally honest with you. Donovan, but good to see you, and hopefully life is treating you well in Canada. Dark Sung G says, don't say any winger or we will get Anthony or Sancho. That guy Anthony is such a waste of money. I'm glad we never got suckered into that. I think there was a few people on Twitter, Spurs fans at the time, saying that they wanted Anthony or raging that Anthony went to United. And I mean, I'm glad we avoided that big expensive flop. Sancho, look, I really like Sancho. I think there's a player in there. I think he's just waiting for the right manager to maybe be that father figure and help really sort of guide him. But again, a huge gamble. Like I said, Chiesa, Bakayoko, or I believe Eze can play there. So go and get me Eze on that one, Dark Sun G. Big yourself up, my man. And he also says Lego Head took a very long time to take Gunner's second. That's fair. What was it? Two seasons finishing fifth, you know. Absolutely spot on there. His methods are strange. You see the latest one out in America where he hired pickpockets, and then at the end turn around to the players and like, that's the, you know, you've always got to be ready and on, you know, on alert and stuff. That follows by the speakers that you play during training of You'll Never Walk Alone, the light bulb scenario. He's a very, very strange cookie, this guy Arteta. Very, very strange and weird, to be brutally honest with you, Dark Sun G. But he is the gift that keeps on giving. He gives me a lot of jokes. So long may he continue being a fool, to be brutally honest with you, Dark Sun G. Big yourself up, my man. Lee Neri also says, enjoy the match, everyone. I'm en route to the stadium. It's a treat for my birthday tomorrow. Well, happy early birthday, my man. I presume you're only going to be about 18 or 19. Or is it lady?
Happy birthday, Lee.
Be a lady either. Well, happy birthday. You're going to turn, 19 or 20 tomorrow? Hopefully you'll have an absolute great time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today. But also, make sure you've got a nice cake and a nice takeaway lined up for your birthday tomorrow. There's no better way to celebrate it than a simple takeaway with a little bit of cake to feel special. So hopefully you enjoy your big day. We've also got, and by the way, apologies. I should look at the picture before I open my mouth, to be brutally honest with you. And then Wayne Bonner says, and this is why I absolutely love this channel. Dave talks sense, but also with passion and emotion. Keep it up. Number one. Do you know what? Really appreciate that. To be brutally honest, I don't know any other way to talk. Even when I'm talking to my parents, my missus, I talk the exact same way. So I don't know any other way to talk. So appreciate that, my man. Thank you very much, Wayno. Absolute legend. A lot of other people think I speak bollocks. But hey ho, maybe sometimes
yeah,
I
but
do,
at least you do it with passion, Dave.
Fair. And then we got this from Daniel Larson, says, I agree with Kate that Ange needs to change his tactics from time to time for it to work. And nothing more would make me happy for him to be the one for this club. In Ange we trust. Come on, you Spurs, much love. And I think that's maybe where you're coming from, Kate, right? If he did make them adaptations, you feel like he'd make us a lot more solid on the pitch and also make him be the right one for Tottenham, right?
1,000,000%. I think people, as soon as you say anything slightly critical of Ange, they immediately think, like, you want him out. I don't want him out. I want him here. But the best coaches in the world adapt their teams. Pep does it.
You're so negative.
Conte, Mourinho, anyone, you have to tweak it slightly. And I think if he can just maybe like the two inverted fullbacks every match, I'm not sure. But what do I know? I'm just a woman sitting at my computer talking to you guys. I'm probably
That's the
talking
problem.
absolute waffle.
Yeah, you're a woman. You don't understand football at all. You shouldn't be on this channel. Jesus, get Jimbo on.
I'll go and do some cooking. Hang on.
Yeah, I'm surprised that changed that long.
I'm just going to say nothing and stay out of this argument. I'm just going to big up Kate. That's all I'm going to say is big up Kate.
But look,
no, I think Kate's spot on there. That you do want your manager to be able to change his system, but kind of do get it a little bit in the sense of maybe what he was trying to do last season is install the belief into the players that, look, it doesn't matter. We stick to the system. We stick to what we do. And if we've got to change it, because the players just didn't understand the system in sometimes. And you just think, when you're trying to teach them a brand new system to what they've been used to playing, you've got to really get it into the brains that doesn't matter what's happening. We stick to our beliefs. And then once they get it, so that is the natural way of playing, you then introduce those little tweaks and things like that. But I do think, like Kate's just said, and a lot of other people were saying last season, we were all sat here crying out saying, oh, we need to do this and we need to do that. And you just looked at it sometimes and thought, you just haven't done it. You're just not getting what the problem is. And you know, it's frustrating. I mean, the daft thing is, though, when we look back to under Conte, we was playing a back three and everyone's shouting out for a back four, and now we're playing a back four and everyone's shouting out for a back three. So you know, it's what is, unless we're winning every game, there is no right system.
Do you know what it is? We're absolutely masters at moaning about what we don't have. When we've got defensive man, we want attacking football. When we've got attacking football, it's still attacking. We want to go a bit more defensive. When we sign this player, we don't want him. We want that player. It's just a way of life, to be brutally honest with you. But Daniel, big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate it. Hope you have a nice day off work today, out of the kitchen, and you get to sit there and enjoy and watch the game. And if not, have a great day in work and keep feeding them hungry bellies, my man. Big up Daniel Larson. And hopefully you're enjoying having the same problem as you had in Norway the other day. Actually, Ireland is known for its cold weather, but I'm absolutely melting right now, Daniel Larson. So if you did get any tricks on how to cool down, please let me know. We've got a couple more chats here just on the Ange Postecoglou situation, or the topic that Jim blew up today, and then we will get on and talk a little bit about maybe what we want to see in terms of performance today. And that Dark Son Jesus, don't forget, Ange got rid of Dyer, Sanchez, Tanguy, Wink says, and also use youths, which give Ange a get out of jail card in my book. Look at Blues sacking. Dark Son G, when it comes to the youngsters, I think we've got a lot of talent around there, and fair play to Ange bringing them on pre-season tour and giving them a real opportunity to shine. I just feel like he would do himself a massive favor if he incorporated a few of them into the team this season. When Pochettino had pressure on his situation, he turned around, he got rid of the likes of Adebayor and big expensive flops out of the team. He turned to the academy, brought up the likes of Mason, Bentaleb, people like that, you know, and ultimately ended up buying him time going into the next season and across that season. And it's ultimately, I think, what got a lot of Spurs fans behind him, because whether we like to admit or not, one thing we love is our own players coming through the academy and absolutely flourishing in the lineup. You know, it's one source of pride I think Spurs fans really have, to see them go on and flourish. When we've had Ledley King, you know, we've had Harry Kane, you know, when they really go on to reach that level, we love it. And no other stadium in the world sings He's One of Our Own as loud as we do when they're on that football pitch. And I do think that would really help maybe buy Ange Postecoglou a bit of time. If he doesn't, I think that's where people will go, hang on here a minute, you've no excuses, you've got youngsters, you won't turn to them out the door. So I think he'd be doing himself a massive favor if he does, Dark Sun G. But also one thing I think gets missed in this market is the amount of outgoings we've got. We've got rid of a huge problem in terms of having to send 7, 8, 9 players out on loan at the end of the window because we've got absolutely no use for them in the squad. We've got rid of a lot of them problems now, which means now we can go forward. Even if Ange doesn't work out and the next guy comes in, the squad is still in a good place and still only a couple of players off from really elevating. So I think we're in a much better place, you know, and the manager can really come in and hit the ground running, and he knows what he's got to work with, rather than having to bring 8 or 9 back every summer and we have a look at them and stuff like that. I think it's a huge part of this window, but I think it'll only be something that will really get spoken about or given credit to if Tottenham bring in someone like an Eze in an inch coming, I think then, this will probably come to light, Dark Sung-Ji. Big yourself up, and very well pointed out. I mean, me and you, Dark Sung-Ji, we spent many days crying, giving out about a lot of these guys. Just thank fuck they're gone. As people can see, I'm not beetroot red anymore. I may be very pale white, but at least I'm not on the verge of a heart attack, which is good, Dark Sung-Ji. So big yourself up, my man. Got this from Wayne Bonner, says, aside from Moore, who out of our youngsters do you all think will be involved in the first team next season? For me, Lancashire, Donnelly, definitely. I'll just come back to that in 1 second, Waybo. We've got this from Dark Sung-Ji, says, if we don't have Ange, no VDV, Bergval, Mads, Dominic Solanke, or Gray. Yeah, look, I definitely don't think we would have a Bergval or a Van de Ven anyway, that's for sure. Look, regardless, look, people are going to have arguments. Are they Ange signings? Are they not? And stuff like that. One thing I will say is what Ange does do is our new signings integrate themselves into the team a lot quicker than what they have done in years gone by. I remember when Pochettino would make a new signing. You're sitting there 3 months into the season going, why the fuck ain't he using them? Why isn't he playing them? It was a real source of frustration. Same under Conte, same under Jose. Couldn't get the new signings to work. Ange Postecoglou has. And I think that's one thing that needs to be recognised, that he does deserve a lot of credit for. Big up Dark Sun G, and then big up Kate as well. Renewing our membership. You really didn't have to do that. I appreciate that, Kate. Really do. Thank you very much. But guys, let's get back to Wayne's here. I mean, it is a question of having the pre-match build-up. So Wayne, thank you very much on that, my man. Let's go around the panel. We will start with you, Jacko. Work our way around.
I want to start with Donnelly. I think Donnelly hasn't gotten enough praise this preseason campaign, because he's actually been playing in a position that's been completely, out of what he normally would be playing in. Because in the under 21s, he was basically the number 10 for that side, and then previously, he's played kind of as a winger / striker as well for the under 21s and just for the academy. But now he's playing as like an inverted left back, and somehow, some way, he hasn't actually stuck out really that much. Even defensively, he hasn't even stuck out that much, which I think is really impressive. He's shown that he's a very intelligent player. He knows how to position himself well, either defensively or going forward. There was that game where him and Sonny were probably the best players in that first half in one of the preseason games. They had this sort of chemistry with each other as if they had been playing for each other for over a season or over a couple of seasons or something. They just knew where each other were. They had these kind of great understandings of when to make a run in behind to help out the other, or when to come inside to, show for a pass. And the link up play they had was incredible. And also with Donnelly as well, is that he does have a very kind of unique passing range where he does kind of just go for these. This is a really high compliment. I just sort of mean in the way that he does it. He does go for these kind of like De Bruyne style, like kind of crosses to the back post, where he just doesn't even look where he's hitting it. He just knows that someone is going to be there. He knows that someone is lurking, is kind of poaching in those areas in the box, and he finds them. And I think Donnelly deserves a lot more credit, because had he been able to get a shot more as like a number 10, playing where Madison has been playing, or even playing on the right wing or something like that, I think he would have looked even better than he has actually in that inverted left back role. So I think Donnelly really does deserve a spot in this squad for this season. It's also dependent on him. Like, does he just want to play game after game after game? And maybe a loan could suit him just so that he can play in a position that he may prefer. I'd be okay with that. But I think he is, maybe next to Mikey Moore, probably the next best performing kind of youngster so far this preseason. With Lancashire, the fact that we now have signed Dominic Solanke, I do think we should probably think about loaning out Lancashire to a club that would be able to play him game in, game out, and he can start to learn, kind of the tricks and the trades of being a big, tall number 9 in either the Premier League or the Championship or whatever really he thinks would suit him best. Even Europe, there are a lot of clubs in Europe that would be interested in taking on his services. So for me, Donnelly just deserves a lot more praise. I think he should be included in the squad. Sadly, I think Tyrese Hall might have to wait an extra year or two maybe to get into the team. I'd like to have him maybe in the squad. But yeah, I think Donnelly for me. And then the rest of the players, it's hard to really say if they've totally played themselves into the team yet. You could make a case for Alfie Devine, sort of. I think he has played really well when he's come on to Alfie Devine in moments, but that's a tough one for me. But Donnelly, I think whatever he wants to do, I'd let Donnelly do, but I think Donnelly deserves a lot more praise, in my opinion. Mikey Moore, of course, though, is the very obvious one.
I just wonder, though, with Donnelly, Jack, with him playing at left back, does Ange view him there in future? I'm judging by some of his words in the pre-match press conference yesterday. Maybe not. And will he get the opportunity further up? However, we have one exceptional player on our hands. And I wonder, the fact that Ange played him at left back, a bit like Archie Gray at centre back, does he actually trust in him? And that his view is he will put him in the squad and will get minutes further on. But you know me, Jack, I'm with you on Donnelly. I think he's absolutely superb. And if we don't progress this guy into the first team, I need a government inquiry onto why it hasn't happened, to be brutally honest with you. Dermo, what youngster, what academy stars have impressed you the most over pre-season?
I have to agree, Donnelly's done brilliantly. Mikey Moore's been a revelation for me. He really has been. And I think them two will be included in the first team this season. I think you can see a lot of them this year. Lancashire, look, I'm a bit undecided on Lancashire. Does he need a loan or does he need to be kept around the first team? I'm unsure. But there was one goal he scored. And I don't know if you said it, Dave, or I said it to you. He said it to me. Very much like Harry Kane scored when he was younger back in the day. There's a little bit of Harry Kane about him. I'm not putting pressure on him, but you can see the way he plays. I think Bergville has done brilliantly. He's another youngster, I think, coming in as well that's done brilliant. And we shouldn't forget Bergville and Archie Gray, who have done excellent since they've came in. But I think Donnelly and Devine's done well as well. I think Devine needs another season on loan, to be fair. But maybe I'm wrong on that. But for me, Donnelly and Mikey Moore, you will see a lot more of them this season. Mikey Moore reminds me of the young Gaza. There's a little bit of Gaza about him, where Bertha reminds me of very young Glenn Hoddle. So that we're for the first time in a long while, we're producing great youngsters. The last time we produced a great youngster was Harry Kane. And he become once in a generational striker. So we've got the youth academy right, and we've got more youngsters coming through the youth academy, by the way. So I think at last we're getting it right. But I think Donnelly and Mikey Moore will be seeing a lot this season for me. Devine, I'm on 50-50 with Lancashire as well, but they've all done brilliantly when they've been asked to come and play pre-season. So fair play to them.
I think Postecoglou did say on Devine, I agree with you. I think he's had a very good pre-season and probably done himself actually justice this pre-season. And Postecoglou did say in the pre-match press conference that, you know, Devine has come a long way. He's had a much better preseason than he did last year. However, his future around the club will depend on what outgoings and incomings come between now and the end of the window. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And I fully agree with you on Mikey Moore. I think he's absolutely generational, although you're not allowed to say that. So someone, cuff me up and lock me up. But Soren, down to you, my man. I mean, what youngsters impressed you most this preseason? What academy star?
It's hard to say anything different to what the previous two have said. I certainly think Donnelly, he deserves his chance. Mikey Moore, definitely, two players that are just exciting, aren't they? It's you just want to see them come on and play. That's the point. And I think like just said as well, Bergville and Gray, they're going to be brought in. Lancashire, he's the one I'm torn on because I want to see him stay with the team. But now we've got Solanke in and Richie, you kind of think, just how many minutes is he going to get if both of them are fit? So to me, I would probably put him on loan until January and just see, put it on either a season-long loan or till January, but with a recall, just in case we need to bring him back. But I don't think it would harm his career letting him go somewhere. Mikey Moore, I don't know. I just think he's one. And Donnelly, that way you just think, just put them in the squad. Get them on the bench and get them to thinking they are part of our future, no matter what. That's the way I look at them too. And I think the others probably out on loan. I think they're the 2/3 with Lancashire that have to be considered the most. But again, like I said earlier, just how exciting is it to have all these youngsters? And I know people laugh at me when I say it, and I got a bit of abuse the other night for saying it. But the last time we saw this amount of youngsters in a team that started to play was under Alex Ferguson, and look what they did.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's where they're going to go or anything. You know, I'm not trying to put that sort of thing out there, but that's, you know, that's the sort of thing when you look at the squad and the ages and the youngsters in there. The hope is that if we can do half of what that team did under Ferguson, then bloody hell, what a squad we could have.
100%. And I find it very, very exciting. And also in modern day football, for clubs to avoid paying these high fees, they're all on Project Mbappe right now, where they're trying to find this young generational talent and get them in early in time, now long. So I think, you know, it's in Spurs' favour, you know, because if they're not going to pay the high fees, I think it's in their favour to bring these guys through and, you know, develop them. But Kate, just quickly actually as well, Abbott and Hall, you know, who have also been on pre-season tour. It'd be interesting to see whether they go on loan or whether they're back with the under-21s next season. Very interested to see what happens there. But Kate, who's been the most standout for you this pre-season in terms of academy stars and why?
Well, Mikey Moore's the obvious one. I think he is incredible. I don't care if I get told off for being over enthusiastic. I think there's certain players you watch and you think, yeah, they've got it. You can't teach it, they've just got it. And I think he's one of these guys. I think he's brilliant. I think Tyrese Hall was excellent when we played QPR. I really, really like him. Phillips concerns me a little bit because I don't know if Ange truly fancies him because he's had availability and he's not played him. So I'm a bit concerned about that. As far as them, I mean, a lot of people like Dane Scarlett. I don't look at Dane Scarlett and think he's got it either. I just don't see it, much like I felt with Troy Parrott. The futures looks good. We've got some brilliant youth players. Everybody's mentioned their names. I'm not sure how much and who I see actually stepping up to the first team this season. I think Mikey Moore is a no-brainer. And I think, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about Donnelly. I'm not sure about Lancashire. I think Alfie Devine, quite possibly. I think that loan really did him the world of good. But it's one of those things you're always going to get a lot of people say play the youths, but I understand the step up from the under-21s to the first team is massive. But I get the argument as well. You don't know what they can do till you play them. So I wouldn't want to be the one making the decision. I'm not going to lie. I think it's a really difficult decision because you don't want to give them too much pressure at their age, but at the same time, you don't want to hold them back. So I just hope if they go on loan, it's not to some teaming out of Mongolia. We want them to have English football experience. The Championship's a brilliant place to learn. It's physical. It's such a difficult league. That's why I think Alfie Devine, like I say, he's come back from his loan and he looks good. But I'm just glad I'm not the one who's got to make the decisions, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. Same here, to be brutally honest, because there's so many, you know, right now. Ashley Phillips, like people have spoken about, you know. Alfie Dorrington, who has avoided any conversation purely because he's still returned from his hamstring injury. But people go back and look at the words that Postecoglou said about him last season. He purposely name-checked him when he wasn't even asked about him. Is there something to come with Dorrington coming up? Maybe he could be the backup left back that no one's talking about. You don't know. But big up Spurs fan, John. Good to see you, my man. And guys, everybody, really appreciate the support. I'm sorry it took me so long to get through the comments, but there's been about 20 or so of them. So I really do appreciate all you guys top notch. The Bayern Munich team is out. Still waiting for the Tottenham team to come out. No Dyer, no Kane. I believe they're both on the bench. So the Bayern team is Neuer in goals, Upamecano, Min-Jae, Kimmich, Gnabry, Guerrero, Muller, Tell, Musiala, Stanisic, and Pavlovic. So that is the Bayern starting lineup. Still waiting for the Tottenham one to come out. But guys, where is it? We do have players returning today in the likes of Desi Edoji, Christian Romero, Van de Ven, Rodrigo Bentancur. I don't really want to say this name, but Giovanni Lo Celso are all expected to play today. I mean, we'll start with you on this one, Kate. How confident are we in the fitness levels of all the returning internationals to be able to contribute effectively today, but also at the start of the campaign, considering it's so late they've come back?
Ask me that in about 2 hours, 3 hours time, and I'll tell you. It's always a worry because, like you say, they've only just come back. We've not really seen them. You would hope that they'll come back fit and eager because they're athletes, but I think today we'll get more of an idea. Obviously, nice to see Van de Ven and Romero back. Absolutely livid to see Lo Celso still anywhere near that first team sheet. I don't care if it's a pre-season friendly. I don't like the man. He doesn't give his all enough for Tottenham, and he's had 1,000 million opportunities to do it. So, but it's going to be such a difficult game. I mean, you're reading out Musiala, Kimmich, and I'm thinking, I'm shuddering to myself already. But we'll see. This is going to be a brilliant test to see their fitness levels. So, like I say, I can't answer it. Ask me again in 3 hours, and I'll tell you what I think.
Look, I'm a slight bit worried, but I did listen to the overlap the other day, and Roy Keane did point out that, it's not like years ago where they're out, they're putting on a couple of stone and coming back and using preseason to sort of drop that and get fit again, that these guys are supreme athletes. They're coming back fit. It's just about finding that rhythm again. But when you look at the way Dragusin, I think, was it against K-League 11, when he came in, the first thing he done was kick fresh air. I mean, we don't want that happening against Leicester. That's going to start causing us problems. But guys, anyone else, any other input to put on that one?
I just want to say, where you say they come back fit and raring to go, let's not forget Ndombele. It took him a full season and he still didn't get fit. So
he's an anomaly.
Yeah, and then an anomaly.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, I think the thing is, what we've got to remember is Van der Ven didn't play much in the Euros anyway, so he should be pretty much raring to go. No, I don't mean that nastily. He wasn't a first start, was he? So I think he's kind of already said that Doji should either start or play quite a bit. The one thing I've got a beef with pre-season is, these are the games where we're supposed to be getting our first 11 into shape and all this lot. And yet our first 11, they've only just come back and we're a week away from the season. It's just an absolute farce these days with pre-season and international football. And the sooner we get rid of international football, the better. Because it just, or condensed, either make the pre-season longer or condense the tournaments more. Because to get you sort of back into position a week before the season starts is ludicrous. Yeah. It's absolute, and they're not going to play today, so it's just a mess.
They should get these tournaments a week or two straight up and running after the Premier League season, rather than have a bit of about a month break, then do it, and then all of a sudden they're coming back and expect to go into new season. Honestly, what's expected of modern day footballers in the amount of games is absolutely crazy, to be brutally honest, and probably emphasizing more of a reason why to get a full squad in here. But Jack does have the lineups. They are out. Let's bring them up. So we've got, with Cario in goals, Pedro Porro at right back, Dragusin at centre back, Davies at left-sided centre-back, with Spence at left-back, Papamatar, Basuma and Madison forming the midfield three. Fucking Brennan Johnson on the right-hand side again. Dejan Kulusevski up front and Son off the left-hand side. Jack, can you see that bench better than I can?
Let me zoom in on it. Sorry, a bit better. But yeah, I'll read it aloud as I'm looking through it. We have Brendan Austin in there. We have Luka Gunter, Destiny Udogie, Romero, Van de Ven are making the bench, which is nice to see. Jamie Donnelly, Skip, Gray, Bergvall, Bentancur, and Devine as the midfielders. You have Mikey Moore, Solomon, Werner, as well as Lancashire. Interestingly, no Dane Scarlett. No, well, of course, Alejo Valise has gone out on loan, but no Dane Scarlett, which I find a tad interesting. Maybe he's already lined up a move or something like that maybe we're not aware of. And then there might be another player that I'm thinking of that could be missing from this, but
that is there.
Yeah.
Lo Celso.
Yeah, no Lo Celso. So maybe a loan or some sort of move has been found there. It's just the fact that he's clearly not wanted by Ange Postecoglou. So I wonder if there's something to that as well, where he's just kind of just being shown the door in kind of a less than obvious way, I guess, by Ange by not being included.
Look, interesting. What I would say is we'll go through everybody. We'll get their thoughts on the lineup, their score prediction, and also, is that what we're seeing there, including subs, a view of what this squad could be, this 25-man squad, come the end of August? Jacko, we'll start with you, and then we'll let you go and let you get a coffee and get ready for your watch along.
Is this going to be a version of the 25-man squad? No. I think Luka Gunter will probably, end up going out on loan or something like that. I think he's played really well. Personally, I think he should actually be in the squad ahead of Brandon Austin. I made my point clear on that before. Then you look at guys like Skip, who have been technically loaned or, been offered as part of a deal and a swap deal. You never know if that could happen with another transfer that we might try to make. and he doesn't seem to be really that much a part of Postecoglou's plans. He's kind of more of a homegrown pawn at this point. And then Divine, as much as we've shown him a lot of praise, like, is he really going to stick around? I'm not so sure. And then Solomon, we know, is already being offered to plenty of clubs, kind of with just a pretty much a straight transfer or kind of a loan with an option to buy. And then, like I said earlier, with Lancashire, I really like Lancashire. I'm just not too sure if there's really the space for him this season, considering we already have Solanke, we have Richarlison, and there are maybe even options like Kulusevski who could play up top. So, and even we're seeing that today, right? Kulusevski is still being used as an option up top. Richarlison not even in the squad. That was someone that maybe we forgot about as well. He's not here. But for the most part, Dave, yeah, there's some players that I would say, maybe that starting 11 there is going to be in the squad for sure for the rest of the season. But we're definitely not going to see Spence playing at left back against Leicester City. And I do wonder if Kulusevski or Johnson end up getting dropped to the bench if, let's say, a Solanke or Richarlison is fit for Leicester City, right? What do one of those guys end up actually being dropped to the bench?
Interesting. Well, it's a good headache to have. Some would argue. But Jacko, thank you very much, my man. We'll let you go, get some breakfast, have a cup of coffee, and we'll see you on the watch along.
Appreciate all the support everybody's shown today. If you can for us, smash the like button on the way out. I think John pointed out that there wasn't a really great ratio for us. We don't ask for it too often. We don't try to spam it or anything like that. But if you can for us, smash the like button. Fabulous work by yourself today, Davo, as the host. And good to be back on with Soren, Kate, and Dermotron. It felt good to be back on a pre-match build-up. So appreciate you all.
No, I appreciate it, Jacko. Thank you very much for getting up early, my man.
See everybody. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Just quickly, we got this from Steve D. Probably not a good idea when you've drink on you, my man. I'd refrain from it, to be brutally honest. And then I want to take this from Elvis G, because, first of all, I want to know from you, before I even give you an answer to my question, when have I ever sat on the fence when it comes to my opinion on Brennan Johnson or any player for that matter? If you answer my question, I'll actually give you the answer to my question.
I think it's a tongue-in-cheek one. That I don't think it's been serious because of the way you said it. Yeah, I think it's been tongue-in-cheek.
You guys saved me from getting into arguments. Fair enough. Appreciate that. If it is tongue-in-cheek, I apologize, Elvis G. But if it's not, I still would remain. When have I ever sat on my fence with an opinion when it comes to a player? But if it is, you've got me. You've absolutely got me. People are saying, Dave, it's banter. Calm down. I do apologize. Sorry, you're in Jack's seat now, my man. What's your thoughts on the lineup? And what's your score prediction for today's game?
I think the lineup's pretty much as we expect. I mean, the one thing I kind of don't like seeing at the moment, and we did it with Royal, is putting Jed Spence on the left, because this is a lad who's now trying to get his way into Ange's thoughts and in the system, and you're playing him again out of position, and you just look at it and think, if he has a bad game, that could be the end of his, the fans start getting on his back and Ange loses a bit of faith. I know it's a pre-season match, but I would have liked to have seen him start on the right and put somebody else, Van der Ven could have started, I'm sure, and put Davis on the left if we had to. But anyway, it is what it is. Score prediction. I do think we might lose, unfortunately. And it's not very often I say that, but I'm not really that bothered because it's pre-season. But I think it'll be something like a 3-2, 2-1, 4-3, 3-0, 2-0, 1-0, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, something like that. There'll be a goal somewhere. But yeah, Spurs could win it, but then so could Bayern. Have I covered everything there? Have I left anything out?
Any splinters there?
And then at the end of the game, I'll come back and say, I told you so. No matter what it is, I think I've covered myself.
Just quickly, Soren, before we move on from you, my man, and again, feel free to drop out if you've got somewhere to be. But just before we let you go, Postecoglou gave the reason for the level performance against Bayern last week, saying, I thought it was a tough game for us. Fair to say the players are feeling the effects of us working hard for the last 10 days here, and we didn't look really sharp. Do you think that was a fair explanation to last week's performance by Bayern Munich? Because some other people were putting it down that we were just purely outclassed.
I think it's a bit of both, because, a lot of people have said, but it goes the same for Bayern as well, the heat and the humidity out there was horrendous. But let's look at 2 seasons ago when Conte was out there and we saw the players spewing up on the side of the pitch and he was working them so hard. I sometimes think we kind of work them a little bit too hard. And then we expect them to be fit to play these. You know, we've had a lot of pre-season games very close. And when you're playing in that sort of heat, then it is hard and it's demanding on these players. Today could be, we might see a totally different game. We might see our players a little bit more up for it because, I mean, I know it's still quite warm out there, but it's not like the temperatures that they had out there. And I sometimes think good managers, and look, Mourinho was one that did this a lot to start with. He put a lot of blame on other things instead of on his players. He wasn't one that necessarily, to start with, would blame the players or say they're not good enough. And I think Ange does that a lot. He will find an excuse that might not be the same as what he says in the dressing room, but he doesn't come out and slate his players. I think it'll be a different game today, and I think we'll see a better performance. But what will be interesting to see is when the youngsters come on, if that level raises, then you've got to be looking at that for the season and thinking these youngsters do need to be playing.
No, 100%. Couldn't agree more with that. And look, hopefully we do see a much better performance today against Bayern Munich, a lot sharper, and I think it will probably alleviate maybe fans' concerns heading into that Leicester game. So absolutely spot on with that, Soren. And guys, make sure you give Soren a lot of love in the comments. He's a really hard-working guy that gives up the very little time he actually does have to come on and talk about Tottenham. So please give him a massive thank you in the comments section. Soren, my personal thank you for your time today, buddy. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Dermo, what's your thoughts on the starting lineup? What's your score prediction, my man? And actually, sorry, just quickly, Soren, you ever going to put a channel together?
Nah, nobody wants to listen to me ramble on for that long.
I think you'd be surprised. I think you'd be surprised.
I do have a little channel out there, but it's all whiskey related. So I just don't have the time. I just don't have the time, to be honest with you. And
what's the name of the whiskey channel?
I think it's just under Soren or OCD Whiskey. I can't remember. It's that long since I've done anything on there. So it's just one of those where it was more from when we had lockdown and we just did a lot of interviews with whiskey people as a little club that we had. But yeah, I just don't have the time, and I'd rather come on and argue with everybody else. I talk to myself all day long on my tractor, so I don't really want to sit and talk to myself on camera either.
Do you know what? Some would argue maybe the tractor's the right place to sort of wrestle with the thoughts in your head,
I get bored of listening to me, so I can't imagine everybody else wants to listen to me as well.
Nah, look, honestly, you'd be surprised. A lot of people absolutely love what you have to say in your input. Soren, if you could just get that link, put it in the private chat, I'll put it in the chat for you, and we'll get people. We'll get people over there. And, because there might be a lot of people out there that might like, the whiskey discussion and stuff like that. So make sure you get over and check it out, guys, when I put it in there. Dermo, what's your thoughts on the lineup, my man? Score prediction, and why do people need to get over and follow you?
Well, I don't agree with you with Johnson completely. I'm more concerned Davis being in the side than Johnson, to be fair. I don't think this is. I agree with Jack. This is not the 25-man squad. I don't think for the season. It's pre-season, so I think he's given some players one last chance to prove themselves. I agree with Soren. Why play Spence out of position? Play him where he's meant to play. But I do feel he's earned the right for this season. I think he's earned the right in the games that we have seen, that he's earned the right to have a chance. Look, I understand Johnson's why everyone's on Johnson's back. I get that. But I think the potential is there. It's not the kid's fault we had to pay 50 million for him. And I think that is the problem. Because of the price tag, that puts extra pressure and everyone expects him to hit the ground running. He will come good. Look, I just think today's the final bit of pre-season, but I think Spurs will win 2-1. I hope Romero does come on to give Kane a 2-footed channel. and prove to him that he should never have left in the first place. No disrespect, Dave. I had to put that in. I'm sorry.
No, look, I don't care about Kane now he's left. I don't even want them to get an award today.
Have you still got his lock of his hair, though? Are you still in the background making his clone?
Yeah, it's stapled to the autograph I have.
Is it? So are you still in the process of, making his clone for Tottenham?
No, not at all, lad. You know,
I don't think that's an answer, Kate. I think I think he's up to something in the background, personally, myself. Anyway,
yeah, engineering a move back for Kane. That's what I'm in the background doing.
That's what. See, I told you he was doing something. I told you he was doing something. Look, Johnson may surprise you this season. He is going to have a great season. He will come out and show people why he's a great player. I think Davis, I'm really worried with Davis playing the centre back, but great to see Rudu playing there. Great to see Romero, Destiny, Van de Ven on the bench. Great to see the kids on the bench when they come on. As Soren said, they'll up it a little bit. And we've got Solanke, we've got Archie Gray, we've got Birdville coming in as well. So I think there'll be 3 more signings for the end of the window, I've been told. Wow. So watch this space. That's all I'm going to say. I've got that on really good authority. 3 more coming in the door. And I think this also is on the way out. 2-1 to Spurs. And if you want to come over to HFC, join myself, the legend that is Tequila, Colin, and the godfather himself, Mr. Philip Brady. We're on the march to 2K. We're only 108 away from 2K now. So I'd love to get there before the start of the season. If you like delusional, you like talking about the past, Tottenham, and somebody that should be in the loony bin, as I've been told 3 or 4 times, then come over to THFC till I die, because that's where you're going to get the most delusional. But Dave, thanks for having me on again. Really love coming on to these bum pops, and I am buzzing for the game now. Come on, you Spurs.
I really appreciate your time, Dermo. I really, really do, my man. You've given it up so much to me over the course of last season and this preseason, so thank you very much for that. And also, guys, make sure you thank Dermot in the comments and get over and smash the subscribe button on his channel there as well. It made it easy for all you guys. I'm putting the links for all their channels in the chat. Soren's is in there, Dermot's in there, and I'm going to drop Kate's in now, so make sure you get over and show them all the love. Kate, what's your thoughts on the lineup, score prediction, and why do people need to get over and follow you?
Lineup is a bit worrying, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit concerned with the Bayern Munich lineup versus us. Looking forward to seeing, I was hoping Bergvall might start over Madders, but looking forward to seeing the youngsters come on more so like they have done in pre-season in the second half. I am going for a loss of 4-1, sorry. That's just with my head and not my heart. Little bit of interesting information. Brentford have just signed Carvajal, and they're saying possibly Mbuemo could be on his way out. And that's a player that I would love to have bombing down our right wing. So that was just a little bit of information. Come over to Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs, because if you think I'm negative and a little bit grumpy at times about Ange, my husband is Dermot's twin. He's the most positive Tottenham fan that ever lived on the planet, and we've got a prediction show on Wednesday where we're going to predict who wins the league, Europa League, who finishes in the top 4, who wins Champions League. And Jim has already said he fancies Spurs to win the Champions League, and we're not even in it. So there we go. Do come over. We have a bit of a laugh. It's quite a light channel, never too heavy. And Dave, Dermot, Soren, it's been a pleasure being on here. So thank you very much.
No, I appreciate it.
The quad is still on.
Yeah, see, that's Jimbo always says that.
I have actually put that on Twitter already. The quad is on. And I was wondering when my twin brother went, but now I know, Kate. He married you. So there I know. Long lost families.
Jimbo has that written on the ceiling, so as soon as Kate wakes up, she just sees the quad is on. But honestly, please do get over, check out Kate's channel. Great conversations between herself and Jim, and usually the guests that are on as well. So please get over, check it out. And Kate, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. And you're absolutely great addition to this panel. So thank you very much for your time this evening. And people, get over and check them out and show them all the love. But guys, sadly, that brings the end to the pre-match build-up. I did have a lot more questions today, but you guys out there done my job for me and kept us going all show long. So I really appreciate all of your support, all you guys who are finding the time on a Saturday, midday, mid-afternoon to come and tune in. I'm sure a lot of your spouses will probably not be happy with you. However, I appreciate it, and that means more to you. I know that. And guys, lastly, I want to say a massive thank you to the people who did go the extra mile today. Football Heritage TV, Dark Sun G, Stevie D, we have Lee Harvey, the Belgian Hotspur, Dermatron, Alaskan Hotspur. We have Jimbo, Shem Tam, DJ Samuel, Faz Radfar, Big Yourself Up, Mr. Bonner, Daniel Larson, Kate as well. And then we've got this from Elvis G as well, where he says, sorry, Dave. No need to apologize. You know what it is, right? In the transfer window, things are so heightened. And to be brutally honest, I don't know why, but because of my opinions, I tend to get a bit of stick or a bit of blowback, and I'm just on edge. So I do apologize, and I don't mean to take it out on you, my man. But big up, Elvis G. Good sport. And you got me. You got me. I'll give it to you. You got me. Big up, Elvis G. And then this from Dark Sun G. Tottenham Twitter released. Solanke first interview. Also great. Bergval and Solanke will be introduced to the Spurs fans at home, apparently. Hope they enjoy. Well, do you know what? Hopefully I have enough time to be able to sneak that Solanke interview in before I get on to the watch along. If not, I'll definitely watch it after. But thank you for that, Dark Sun G. And it'd be I hope Solanke is introduced at the home stadium. It'd be mad, you know, a guy walking out of 60,000 to be introduced, which I think is funny considering most of the people there, or half the people there, will find it underwhelming, but it's funny. Anyway, Dark Sun G, big yourself up. But guys, that's it from me. I'll see you back here at 5 o'clock for the watch along for the big game. Auf Wiedersehen.
Curry Spurs.
Come on.
And Ange